Morning everybody, welcome to Solo ReacTalk. This morning I'm going to be reacting to a video requested by LolMeki. Hope I'm pronouncing your YouTube name correctly there. It's called Arcanum, made on the Warlockracy YouTube channel. If you guys want to check out my previous reaction to Hammer and Sickle, made by Warlockracy, remember that the card for that video is going to be at the top right here. If you guys want to check out the original video of Arcanum as well as Warlockracy's YouTube channel, the links are going to be in the description below. Yes, I've never heard of this game, Arcanum. Never heard of it. So yeah, this is going to be an interesting, game review, I would say, of this game called Arcanum. Yeah, let's start. 3, 2, 1, go.
I was saying that it was bloody rude of you to be asking me, a dwarf, for his name. It's not something to be thrown out and away like the day's rubbish.
Something wrong? Not at all. If anything, I'm more myself than I've been in a long time. You've shown me that I don't have to live by some ridiculously stringent moral code.
It looks like an isometric type of game, alright.
Well, how?
Very old game. Yeah. Oh, okay.
Could I not? The man is a legend in my circles. What? Not much you can do to argue with him. A man would have to be a bloody fool to get on the bad side of Kurgan the Terrible.
And she better be forthcoming with the information we need about this Aranax, or we might simply have to set fire to the elf village, eh?
But no one ever said I wasn't a bloody fool.
What is that? It looks like a fish, but like a mechanical fish. Like a submarine type of designed fish. Ship. Huh, interesting.
Had you going there, didn't I?
What? You insult my beard? I'll break you in half. Die!
The story, of course, is much more complicated than that, but those are the important points.
Arcanum is a critic's game. Everyone appreciates it as one of the greats, but nobody actually plays it. Less than 3,000 people are subbed to the Reddit community. In comparison, the classic Fallout sub has almost 14,000 members, and the main Fallout subreddit has close to 1 million. The reason I'm
when it comes to Fallout, its universe has expanded, right? It's expanded to different in terms of the way the game has evolved over the years after it's been bought by Bethesda, and people continue to play Fallout 3, 4, and all the others that come after them, and I'm sure people still also fall back to the original Fallout. But then with Arcanum, I don't think I've actually heard of a successor to this game, so I'm thinking that maybe Arcanum is just, it starts here and it ends here. I don't think it has an expanded universe like Fallout, and maybe that's why people are still playing Fallout in their hundreds of thousands. But then when it comes to Arcanum, like I said before, I've never heard of this game before. This is the first time I hear of this game, and yeah, maybe that's the reason why it hasn't really stood the test of time compared to Fallout. Yeah. That's what I'm assuming.
Comparing this to Fallout is because the gameplay formula is nearly identical, which is not surprising since the two franchises share some of the devs. Arcanum is a fantasy steampunk Fallout full of orcs and phrenologists. The game should be played with unofficial Arcanum patch, or Drogs patch as it's also known. It fixes bugs, hundreds of them, restores some of the content, and unlocks additional races for character creation. The experience is very close to vanilla, and I see no reason to ever play without it. We are Nathan Cole.
Hold on, let me write down your name. Okay, race human, gender male, level 1, age 20. That's a 20-year-old? You guys know. No, I'm sorry. He looks like he's in his 30s. With I don't know, the face kind of just makes him look like he's in his 30s. But okay, fine. He's 20. I'm sorry. That I'm being, ageist. Okay, let's continue.
A randomly generated English name. Thank you, fantasynamesgenerator.com. The protagonist is supposed to be a foreigner, but when it comes to naming conventions, there are two kinds of people in the world of Arcanum.
So this is the continent of Arcanum. Okay. Wow. All right. I like that there's this long chain of mountains that cuts east from west on a peninsula, if I can say that, if that's a peninsula. Yeah, that's interesting.
The English and the Elves. Our special trait is extreme personality. People react more strongly to our presence. They tend to either love us or hate us. This will have consequences. The character creation screen looks very complicated, and that complexity is not superficial. There are 3 broad skill categories. First we have the common skills, persuasion, stealing, etc. Then there are the technological skills, gunsmithing, chemistry and such. And then we have magic skills with tons of different spell colleges.
Wait, so there's a technological skills tree and there's a magical skills tree. Wow. All right. That's different. I've never... Maybe Torchlight. I don't know if you guys have played that game, Torchlight. There is also a magical and technological skills trees that you can invest in for your character that you are playing in Torchlight. So yeah, okay, I've played a game that's got something similar.
This thing right here is our magic tech aptitude meter. If you don't commit to sorcery, then your spells won't do much damage. But if you do, then using technological items will greatly increase the chance of critical failure. Is it possible to play as a techno wizard, balancing the 2 approaches? Yes.
Cool.
In fact, this is what I'm going to do. Our offensive magic will be weak, but that's fine. We'll be buffing our strength with spells and then beating the shit out of our opponents while wearing a suit of steam power armor.
This reminds me of Warhammer 40k. You'd become a librarian, essentially, with your power armor, and you're using the warp. But in Arcanum, you're using magic. Yeah, you'll be like a librarian. That's cool.
Hybrid builds are not recommended for newcomers, but this is my favorite way to play. Arcanum, Fallout, these kind of games are best understood as isometric immersive sims. Playing a hybrid character maximizes the number of possible interactions with the game world.
As long as it's not like a turn-based isometric type of game, like Hammer and Sickle. No. Don't do that. Don't do that.
Problems will be solved via the application of herbology, others by punching people in the face, and others by summoning the spirits of the dead and interrogating them for quest information. We are a passenger aboard the IFS Zephyr, the first aircraft of this kind in Arcanum, on
an airship, a blimp.
her maiden voyage. The Zeppelin is being attacked by ogre-operated flying machines. This is very impressive. In this
Ogres? Okay. So there's humans, there's elves, and there's ogres. Okay. Ogres.
single event, we have the first ever Zeppelin, the first prop plane, and the first aerial battle. Oh, and the first ever mid-air collision. The IFS Zephyr goes down.
Help. Help me, please.
The dying gnome gives us a signet ring, and that's how the main quest begins.
You must find the boy. Find the boy.
Okay. So there's gnomes as well. So it's humans, elves, ogres, and gnomes. Alright.
And give him back his ring.
Can't believe it! I mean, you and then the Zeppelin and the fire!
Do not panic. Arcanum just vomited a bunch of RPG shit all over your screen. But don't worry, it's harmless.
Yeah, no, I'm fine. I've experienced this before. I was just gonna say, in terms of how in creating your character, right? It also reminds me of another game that I used to play. What is it called again? Dragon Age Origins. Not Dragon Age 2 or Dragon Age Inquisition. No, Dragon Age Origins. When you create your character, there is a lot of detailing, micromanaging in terms of the skills and the abilities your character is going to have. And with Arcanum, it's taking me back to that game of Dragon Age Origins, where, you know, it's not just your skills, it's not just your abilities, but, you know, making sure that the available points that you have, you put them in the right slots so that it can be advantageous for you as you continue on with the game. You know, you have to start early so that when you are in the mid game or towards the late game, it's easy for your character to dispatch enemies and for you to unlock chests or for you to convince others to work for you or to work beside you. So yeah, it's also taking me back to Dragon Age Origins in that aspect, in terms of your character creation being so detailed. It's good.
It used to be even worse prior to the high-res patch, which is integrated with drugs. The authentic Arcanum UI takes 1/3 of the screen. Yeah, and this. The game makes a very bad first impression, but actually this is one of the few exposition dumps in Arcanum. The writing here is known for its concision. It's even better than in Fallout 1 in that respect.
Please forgive me. I'm making a bloody mess of this whole affair.
Our robbed friend Virgil is a monk. The Panari are the most widespread religion on the continent. They venerate the elf. What's his name? Virgil doesn't remember. He's new to this. Imagine how insane all of this is from his point of view. One day,
Virgil, okay. And Virgil is part of your company, your team. He's your first, important character in your group. Okay.
Virgil goes on a pilgrimage to this valley that for whatever reason has religious significance, and the scripture says something along the lines of, "The living one will return on wings of fire in hills shrouded in fog." He looks up. There is a huge fireball descending upon the valley. A man survives the crash seemingly unharmed, and right next to the valley there is a town called Shrouded Hills. That's one hell of a coincidence, huh? The visuals are bad. Fallout 1 was released 4 years prior, and it has much better graphics. Arcanum
the graphics are understandable for the time period, I think. I'm not really going to fuss over that much. Yeah.
Concept art, tile sets, items, they all look very good, but the character sprites and animations leave a lot to be desired. We use our sorceress powers to improve our strength and easily deal with creatures in the starting area. These little shits are called kites. Arcanum's not goblins. One of the flying machines that brought down the Zeppelin.
It seems very unlikely that an ogre would have the intelligence to fly such a complex device.
How do you come to that assumption when we've just seen that it was ogres flying the planes and attacking the airship? So how do you come to that conclusion? Okay.
The game's setting is for Victorian. Casual application of race science is a common thing.
I see.
The ogre has a strange amulet on him. Doesn't seem to be magical. Out of various weeds and roots found in the wilderness, we can make this, a technologist's equivalent of a healing potion. We find
Healing slave.
more tech items in the abandoned mine. Grenades, bullets, an old firearm. Too bad the early game guns are absolutely terrible. Arcanum begs for its own equivalent of dramatic balance overhaul like Skyrim Requiem. Drog's patch doesn't go nearly far enough.
And the spirit of Nasruddin shall be reborn.
Yeah, Nasruddin was the name of the elf we are supposed to be a reincarnation of. A robbed man approaches.
Bloody convenient he just happened to show up here just now, don't you think?
So Virgil thinks that you are the reincarnation of their god, Nasruddin. Okay.
Virgil is being overprotective of us, but we'll let him take the lead for now.
You there! What exactly are you doing up here?
Prior to this, our monk friend didn't exactly emanate confidence, but appearances can be deceiving, I guess.
Oh, I think difficult is the best way, sir.
Virgil bully-sides the suspicious man. I like our new friend.
What is that? Cow droppings? Dear God!
Shrouded Hills is the first town we visit. A mining and a farming community, it looks like. The town is part of the Unified Kingdom, the largest nation in Arcanum.
Wow. So the Unified Kingdom encompasses two parts of the continent, it seems. Yeah, two major parts of the continent. Huh. But they're all I mean, the entire empire is, how should I say? It's like it's enclosed by the chain of mountains. Okay. Yeah, it's a perfectly defensible empire, it seems.
Shrouded Hills was annexed by the expanding UK from the Kingdom of Cumbria, a traditionalist monarchy south of here.
Kingdom of Cumbria. Okay. So there's the Unified Kingdom, the UK, and the Kingdom of Cumbria.
The locals are apolitical, and they will never talk about any of this.
Elder Joachim is staying at the inn next to the bank.
In his room, we find 2 dead bodies, each carrying an amulet we've seen before. There is a note for Virgil. Do not speak to anyone about the Zeppelin crash. People are looking for us, and for Joachim. He'll telegram us once we're in Tarrant.
If he thinks we're in trouble, then we are. Let's get out of here and get to Tarrant.
Yeah, Virgil, we will. But let's explore around a bit first.
That is the main rule when it comes to RPGs. You have to explore every single nook and cranny, every single chest, every single discussion that you can have with an NPC, every single house you can visit, every single tree, grass, blade of grass, everywhere. You have to search. You have to scour the land for whatever resources are there, weapons, magical items, whatever. And whatever you don't need, you can sell to get that money, so that money can support your future endeavors. So yeah, in any RPG, these are the things you have to do. You have to do it first before heading off with the main mission or the main storylines. Do the side quests.
That's what you do in these kind of games. I was the most powerful man in all Shrouded Hills, complains the halfling wizard. They set up the infernal machine, a steam engine, in the building that used to belong to the church. We destroy the device by using a combination of explosives, and when this doesn't work, just by bashing it as hard as we can. The wizard is grateful, but I see no reason to jump in bed with this guy, ideologically speaking, so we talk to the constable and get hired to repair the steam engine we just destroyed. Supposedly, the abandoned local mine has some repair parts we can borrow. I love this music.
That's the way to show those bastards, good hit, sir.
The companions will react to critical hits and misses with dialogue lines.
Are you blind? What in God's... better luck next time.
Virgil, be confident in what you want to say. Stop trying to, I don't know. Just be confident in what you want to say to your friend, Nathan Cole. He understands. He understands. If he's made a mistake, you'll be there to badger him about it and say, oh, why did you do this? Why did you do that? Yeah, just be yourself. Don't be afraid to speak.
Jill's voice actor does a fantastic job. The injuries you received are catalogued in the journal. Scarred by yourself, self-inflicted. This lowers our beauty score by 1 point. The
Okay.
condition can be easily healed by a medical professional. This shady weirdo keeps asking questions about our background. Joachim warned us not to tell anyone about the crash. Normally, the halfling would fuck off and then ambush us later in the game, but our extreme personality trait made him dislike us enough to attack outright.
Why does he look like a kid? You guys are beating up on a kid, or was that a gnome?
This individual wants us to rob the bank, has a safe combination, but we have to act fast. The Boeing gang is about to rob the place any day now. The local doctor is a gunslinger and the unofficial town's sheriff. He temporarily joins our group and we fight the gangsters together. Doc has a revolver, which in this game is a disappointing rapid-fire low-damage type of a weapon. I'm sorry, it's not Vegas.
I don't much like cities. Always feel so crowded, hedged in. I'd rather not say any more about it.
We explore the wilderness around the town, stopping at random locations to gather herbs. No one escapes the Molochian hand, says the assassin. This is the first time we hear that name. The road to Tarrant is obstructed by bandits.
Yeah. No surprise. In many of these RPGs, based in the old world type of scenario or environment, there'll always be those road bandits, making traps and asking for pay toll, if you don't give it to them, then you have to fight. Yeah.
Human in charge with 2 half ogres for muscle. The problem can be solved
Half ogres.
in a number of ways. We can negotiate, we can work with the bandits, or we can kill them. But as illustrated, these guys are pretty tough. So we have to use consumables, like the precious stun grenades we picked up in a cave back at the crash site.
Please watch yourself, sir. Being hit
You see, it's good to collect stuff. It's essential that you collect stuff in an RPG so that you can use them later.
inadvertently hurts as much as being struck purposely.
Shut up, Virgil. He ends up being an unlikely hero of this battle. Our protagonist is incapacitated after receiving a hit from one of the half-ogres, and in the end, Virgil was the only one left standing. For a while, at least. The blue...
These half-ogres, are they half-elf, half-ogre, or half-human, half-ogre? Or half-gnome, half-ogre? Interesting. Yeah, the fighting in this game is funny. the way I see Virgil or Nathan Cole just kicking people, and also the other NPCs just kicking people to death, it's weird.
blue bar is not mana, it's fatigue. Once it reaches 0, a character falls unconscious for a while. Casting spells uses fatigue. But, somewhat confusingly, mana is also a thing in Arcanum. It's a separate resource used only by magical items.
So you could say that the blue bar is also like a stamina bar, right? Yeah, fatigue, stamina, yeah, alright, and magical items still use mana.
Dealing with the bandits, we get a fate point. These are important and rare. We'll see what they do later. For now, let's get out of here. The narrative wants us to go to Tarant, but some of the quests in Shrouded Hills push us in the direction of Dernholm, the capital of the disintegrating kingdom of Cumbria. I suppose we can make a brief stop there.
You know what they should have done? Especially like if you're using magical items, they should have made another bar for mana. Make it purple in color. You can still have the fatigue in blue, but then you have mana in the color of purple. And they're presented on the UI as well, on the user interface. But, you know, that's just me.
Traveling music is out of this world. Arcanum is a continent. There are supposedly other lands out there. The protagonist came from one of them, but we don't get to see or learn anything about the world beyond Arcanum.
Yeah, I kind of like that, you know. It also reminds me of A Song of Ice and Fire, or should I say Game of Thrones. Those who know that more than A Song of Ice and Fire. You know, where you get the Westeros continent, you have the Essos continent, but then there are other continents to the south, like Othos or Sathoros, and even beyond that, there's probably more continents. And also up in the north, we don't really know what's happening, you know, up north, whether there's another continent on the planet, or if you go to the far east, past, what do they call that place again? The Shadowlands. We don't know if there's more continents on that side, because, you know, sailors from Westeros haven't sailed west of the Westeros continent beyond. They haven't really gone that far, so we don't really know if there's more continents on that planet, and you know, it just adds more mystery to the fantasy. And also when I think about Dragon Age with its continent as well. I forgot what they called it again. Oof. I forgot what they call the continent in Dragon Age. Oh my gosh, I forgot. I remember the countries like Ferelden, Orlais, the Free Marchers, Tevinter, Antiva, the Anderfelds, Nevarra. You know, I remember the countries, but I don't remember the name of the entire continent. What do they call it? I forgot. But yeah, I find that interesting, you know, seeing the geography of these fantasy worlds that we enjoy. Yeah, it's quite nice.
The Stonewall Range is the largest mountain chain on the continent, previously a home to many dwarven communities. Most of them seem to have been abandoned a long time ago. The range serves as a natural western border of both the Kingdom of Cumbria and the UK, an oligarchic republic that is still formally called a kingdom, mostly out of tradition. The world map exploration is just as good as in Fallout, but Arcanum's random encounter design is trash fire. For one, you can't run away from them. Your followers will commit to the fight, die, and then you have to reload. The encounter.
And that's why it's essential to make sure that you collect as much resources as possible, that you have sold whatever you don't need so you can get money to buy other things that are important for your travels, and that you upgrade your character. You are, if it's possible, also upgrade your companions so that they are better, long-lasting in fights. It's very important.
Diversity is disappointing, possibly the worst in any Fallout-like. But again, these games are isometric immersive sims. Arcanum is for people who like clever solutions. These animal encounters, for example. One application of the astonishing animal scent allows an individual to walk fearlessly among the most fearsome denizens of the forest. Use in springtime not recommended. Wizards have a spell that does pretty much the same thing. Bandits and assassins never have anything valuable or interesting in terms of items, and the fights themselves give way too much XP, so you can end up over-leveled.
I'm okay if you're over-leveled. If you're over-prepared and you're able to mop the floor with any encounter, that's good for me, That's very good for me.
Cumbria kingdom dying. Refuse all technology. Lose all provinces. Gar think King Praetor stupid.
The kingdom is defeated. The game is not subtle about this. The toppled statue, the sad music, the buildings with barred windows. Dragon Knights are an important part of Cumbrian society. Elite melee fighters, possibly the best in the world.
Melee fighters with a civilization that uses guns and magic? I mean, knights are cool, guys, but I think they're just irrelevant to when guns are introduced, when magic is in the world. Knights are not going to be, a very good fighting unit. They are obsolete. Anyways.
Building plate-covered knights against line infantry was a terrible idea, but no lessons were learned, it seems. The monarch remains skeptical of technology. Christ, even their castle is a dump. The king is in his throne room, protected by a cadre of elite archers. Do you have any work you need done? Be warned, I'm not qualified to do much of anything. But he does have a job for us. Not far from Dernholm, there is a town called Black Root. Just like Shrouded Hills, Black Root was part of the Kingdom of Cumbria, until the Dragon Knights were humiliated by the Tarantian army, and the town had to be ceded to the UK. King What's-His-Face doesn't accept this and wants us to collect taxes from the mayor of Blackroot for the Cumbrian crown. It is a little weird that he had to ask a random stranger to do this. I don't think the king is respected in Dernholm. Unsurprisingly, Cumbrians have a developed martial culture. I've read somewhere that you can get thrown into the pits by talking shit to the guards, but that didn't work for me. Let's explore around a little and then head to Blackroot. The world map hides many smaller areas and mini dungeons, like this wolf cave. While much of Cumbria is explorable even in baby levels, a great deal of content will have to be skipped for now. So, while we are traveling, let's use this quiet time to learn about real-life futurism.
En l'an 2000.
In the Year 2000 is a series of futuristic images made by Jean-Marc Coté and other French artists. The first pictures were produced in 1899. They are very Arcanum-esque.
Look at the airships.
A zeppelin with a huge main gun is diving to fire on ironclad warships while...
This is so impractical, but yeah, it's interesting to see how the human mind works, especially like during those times as well. Yeah, it's quite cool.
While a flying machine of a different design is attacking the zeppelin itself. Personal flying machines are a major theme.
That would have been a mess. Considering how people crash their cars, just imagine the chaos in the air. and people trying to land and they crash into a museum or into the city hall or into some other public space, you know, how do they park their their private airplanes at home? How do they take off? Yeah, the impracticality of this is just insane. But it's a nice, imaginative mind. I will give it that.
Is an aero taxi station. I believe these are supposed to land vertically, like ornithopters from Dune. Firefighting is possibly the worst application of a wingsuit. The
They look like fairies.
wings will catch fire and send a screaming human fireball down to the city below. Here, the artist wanted to depict advanced technology improving daily lives, but inadvertently ended up creating something more terrifying than a flying warship, a mechanized barber. I believe...
I mean, I see that becoming a possibility quite soon, you know, in the near future. I kind of see that happening.
This is like French FaceTime. Wonder what this guy's role is. A cleaning machine that moves around and scrubs the floor.
We have that.
The maid is remotely controlling it with a rope. Honestly,
Oh. We don't have that.
it looks like this kind of device would make her job more difficult, not less. A farmer is using a remote-controlled machine to harvest wheat. The teacher's
I think we have something to that effect, yeah?
assistant feeds textbooks into the machine, and then they are transmitted in audible form to the students via headphones. And apparently one needs to work this lever mechanism in order for that to happen. Weirdly unsettling.
Unsettling, but it's interesting. It's really interesting. Imagine going to school just downloading all that you need to learn into your mind. But then you don't have the experience of, you know, truly contextualizing and understanding what is it that you have in your mind. You just have it in your mind. But then, you know, you can't really apply it in the real world. You know, you're just reading or you're just having memories from the textbook. Yeah, so yeah, it's not a really good idea, that one. Yeah, you know, we need the kids to understand what is it that they're reading or what is it that they have in their minds and how they can apply it into the real world. Yeah. But it was interesting. It was interesting.
Anyway, our journey continues.
I seem to remember something in the news about Blackroot wanting to join the Unified Kingdom. Other than that, it's best known as a port town, boats coming in and out and the like. Nothing a dwarf would take an interest in.
The mayor's mansion is unmistakably the biggest and the most luxurious building in town. I collect taxes only for Tarant, says the mayor. The Unified Kingdom protects us now. It's not a bad relationship, but... the Tarantians are of no help against organized crime. A group of thieves is operating semi-openly in Blackroot. They can't be arrested without proof. Arcanum being what it is, there are many ways of solving the problem. I choose to work with the thieves, hoping they would put us in contact with the larger organization in Tarant. We are to acquire a powerful poison from a local poison merchant. He is reluctant to make a deal, but changes his mind once we lie that our victims would be orcs. Nobody actually knows who made orcs, but it is understood that they were a product of what academics call supernatural selection. Some races, like humans and dwarves, evolved normally via natural selection,
Yeah, normally.
while others, like elves and orcs, were split from humanity via magical means.
Really? And then what about gnomes and ogres? What happened to them? Are they also split from elves and orcs? Probably. Yeah, probably.
Orcs are a young race, no older than a few thousand years. Their natural lifespan is around 40 years. Orc babies are more likely to be born in pairs. Even triplets are somewhat common. The third child in a triple birth is usually given to the father, who eats the infant by the way of celebrating his fertility. The thieves give us back some of the items they stole, and this is enough to satisfy the mayor. He agrees to pay taxes to Cumbria, probably as a way of putting pressure on Tarant. No reason to recolor the political map just yet. But it would be cool if that happened, mechanically I mean. It would be interesting if the world map system in these Fallout-likes included elements of a Paradox-style political map. It's possible to get to Tarant on foot, but we have more than enough money for train tickets.
I'm afraid I picked up a habit. I know it's not
Le
very
déjeuner est
ladylike.
servi.
The UK rail network is one of 3 ways of fast traveling in Arcanum. It's also possible to travel by ship or via the teleport spell. Before we are allowed to purchase tickets, we are required to fill a questionnaire. Are you
Guys, I'm using teleportation. I'm using teleportation.
or is any member of your party a practitioner of Magicka, Elven, or of Elven heritage? This is all a wonderful in-universe introduction to the strange metaphysics of Arcanum. Magic works by suspending physical laws. Technology relies on physical laws to operate. The two approaches are fundamentally incompatible. By their mere presence, advanced spellcasters will cause the train to break. Naturally, this
Wow. That's amazing. And that's unique and just different, really. I don't think I've actually heard of anything like that in any fictional story. You know, where magic and science are just so literally opposing each other to the point where it's mutual annihilation. Well, okay, maybe not mutual annihilation, because it seems that it's science that breaks down completely, but magic is still intact, if I can say that. So yeah, if a very powerful wizard gets aboard this train, their very presence would just dismantle the train, because the train is bound by the laws of physics, while magic isn't. Wow.
begs the question, which one is better, magic or technology?
I say the answer is yes. If you can create power armor and you have guns, you are powerful. If you're able to teleport and you're able to use the magical elements and whatever else might be powerful in this magical world, you are also equally as powerful. So I say the answer is yes.
And in order to answer this question, we need to find out how egalitarian or how fascist is magic in Arcanum. Can anyone cast spells given sufficient knowledge and practice, or is it something only the chosen individuals can do? Or chosen races? If it's the latter, then magic might be the inferior choice if the improvement of material conditions is our goal.
For me, a bowl of soup is enough. I can take no pleasure in food, while millions of my countrymen go without bread.
Furthermore, how scalable is magic? A wizard can generate electricity pretty much at will. This is impressive, but can they do this consistently over long periods of time? Is it viable to use arcane abilities to power streetlights?
I think arcane abilities are limited to the people who use them, meaning you can't mass produce, magical abilities, like as a factory line type of scenario, where you're using magic casters for their energy or for their ability to create things with their magical abilities, in an unlimited fashion, like with mechanical devices. You can create a factory that would build other mechanical machinery to perform a task, or to be distributed to the wider public to use. But in terms of magic, it takes time for you to learn the skill. It takes your fatigue and your mana for you to do any type of spell casting. And it's mainly a singular type of activity. It's not something that can be mass produced at a very fast and large quantity, like machinery, like technology. Yeah, so I think maybe technology has an upper hand compared to magic in that aspect, where the availability is far more open to technology than it is to magic. Yeah, that's what I think.
What best describes the most magical member of your party? Is that a trick question? Pretty sure Virgil is a racist ex-con who found Jesus or something. What's our age category? I love these answers. D. More than 500 years of age. There are multiple companions in this game who belong in the D category. Are you traveling with summoned elementals, animated dead, mind control turned to stone, or otherwise physically challenged party members?
Not yet.
We don't, but every single one of these things is a feature. Vanilla Arcanum had an amazing bug that allowed a high-level wizard to mind control any number of characters forever, potentially drafting entire towns into their own personal army if they so choose. Drog's patch fixes this, unfortunately. Do we know offensive spells or possess them in scroll form? That would be sort of like carrying explosives. Coincidentally, they don't check for actual explosives. Not sure if I'm relieved or insulted that our magical ability is low enough to travel first class. Advanced mages are restricted to secure wizard's compartment at the back of the train. Get too powerful and they won't allow you to board at all. Whatever. Onwards to Tarant.
And besides, when you're that powerful, you don't need to take the train. Just teleport. You'll be there far faster than any train.
Tarant, foremost representative democracy in Arcanum. Chairman Willowsby try-align Tarant with Caledon, cause him much trouble. Main question be, can democracy join with monarchy and not destabilize?
Tarant used to be my favorite area in any RPG, and it still holds up, mostly, because of its originality and the variety of playstyles it supports. The Tarantian is a local newspaper. We can tell our story to the editor. He'll pay us for the interview, and once the issue gets printed, we'll become a celebrity. This will, of course, have consequences, so I'm not gonna do that. We take advantage of the many local tech stores and buy the necessary parts to create multiple charged rings, powerful early game items. Why did the main story want us here? Oh yeah, we are to receive a telegram from Virgil's mentor. I have discovered something interesting concerning our friends with strange amulets. Stop. When you have the means, travel to the village of Stillwater. Stop. I will leave word with the innkeeper. Couldn't you just tell us what you found? Cryptic fucking Panari cultists.
I don't understand this any more than you do.
I mean, maybe it's just a security measure. Because I mean, someone can intercept this message and read it themselves, and then they will know where they have to go to collect whatever they need from Virgil's mentor. So, yeah.
Not long ago, I'd have had a good belly laugh over this whole thing.
We part ways with Virgil. He was nice to us, but I don't want to get him killed. This
Bye, Virgil.
fellow accidentally dropped an expensive ring into the city's sewer system. The person living in the house above must be an inventor. These little things on the ground are fairly dangerous steam robots. Criminals making shady deals, warehouses and docks. The Madame Lil's establishment. The lady in the back is called Ballet. I should explain how crafting works. In order to create an item, you need a blueprint. All craftable items have two components, no more, no less. Advanced inventions might require academic competence in multiple disciplines.
Man, that spider reminds me of it reminds me of a movie. What was it called again? Oh my gosh. It was like a Wild Wild West steampunk type of movie. I forgot what it was called again. But it had Will Smith in it. And yeah, there was this spider-like creature that was being constructed by this genius, and he was going to try and control the United States of America by assassinating the president and, you know, becoming the emperor or the king of America. And he built this spider-like creature to achieve his goals. Oh yeah, and he didn't have a body. The antagonist, he didn't have a body. He just had his head that could be connected to a robotic body. Yeah. Man, I'm remembering some weird movies. But if you guys know the movie I'm talking about, then, you know, in the comment section, you guys can, just post the comment. You know, you can just comment about the video, the movie. Yeah, because I forgot the name of the movie, but I remember I watched it a long time ago. But this spider, it's taking me back to that movie.
And some items require other craftables as components, so creating the upper tier gear can be a fairly involved process. Playing a technologist is challenging. In comparison, playing the wizard or the knight archetype involves primarily clicking dudes and drinking potions. Skylar and Sons, that's what was inscribed on the ring the gnome in the intro gave us.
What?
You're bothering me.
Magus the Dwarf is the second most developed companion NPC after Virgil. In Arcanum, there are different kinds of dwarven communities. The traditionalists live underground in the mountains, while the city dwarves are fully assimilated into the human culture. Magus is a city dwarf, desperately wanting to return to his roots.
Man, this reminds me so much of Dragon Age Origins. Just the Dragon Age franchise in terms of the dwarves. Because, the dwarves in Dragon Age also go through the same situation where, the traditional dwarves are living underground, and then the dwarves that have went to the surface are considered to be, not true dwarves, if I can say that. They are not connected to their culture or to their cousins who live underground. They don't believe in the culture of paragons. The paragons are like the greatest engineers and scientists of their society. They don't really subscribe to that type of culture that's happening in Orzammar. That's the capital of the Dwarven kingdom in the Dragon Age games. And the dwarves that are living on the surface are far more attuned, or far more climatized and culturally connected to the humans and to the other races that live on the surface. And, some of them want to go back to Orzammar and learn how to become a true dwarf, if I can say that. And the people in Orzammar don't consider their cousins on the surface as true dwarves. And, there's this animosity and almost arrogance about, those who live in the mountains. They see those who live on the surface as just lost people that cannot come back ever. Yeah. It's taking me back to Dragon Age. Wow.
Carries a book with him, Roan's Almanac of All Things Dwarven, written by some human academic who studied dwarven culture. He even spoke to a real dwarf once, or maybe twice. Magus based his entire personality on this book, but it doesn't look like we'll be taking him. Skylar and Sons is a jewelry business with a skeleton in their closet, the closet being an underground tomb with a horde of zombies inside. Enemies attacking in groups would sometimes run away when one of their number is killed. This makes sense for wild animals, but the zombies shouldn't have this AI. It looks stupid. The reanimated dwarves are the jewelers. The information we need can be extracted from the enterprising necromancers in a number of ways. We go through their papers and find this old telegram. The ring we got from the gnome belonged to one Gilbert Bates, the richest man in Tarrant, possibly the richest man in the world. No, he won't see us. One of his factories. The working conditions, we're being told, are horrible. This guy, Cedric Appleby, is the mortal enemy of the industrialist. Gilbert Bates is a common thief, he says. His inventions are stolen. He needs to be humiliated, exposed for the fraud that he is. Cedric promised to help us gain entrance to Bates' house, but in return we need to destroy his newest steam engine. Gilbert Bates was obviously named after Bill Gates, while Cedric Appleby is supposed to be Steve Jobs, I think. When Arcanum was being developed, Gates was the world's richest man IRL. iPhone wasn't invented yet. Apple was considered to be a lesser company. Cedric wants us to infiltrate the estate and find incriminating evidence on his rival. We pretend to be one of the servants. A lot of patrolling guards. The place is accessible from the underground. Interesting. The second floor. Looks like Bates has a half-ogre bodyguard. That's all we need to know, for now.
I've never been out of the city. I mean, this country is unfamiliar to me.
The continent of Arcanum is obviously modeled after the British Isles, but the climate and the biome...
Is it? Is it modeled after the British Isles? Okay.
...are more varied. The plains have a different list of random encounters, as well as different types of plants to pick. This region is for the most part friendlier to a low-level protagonist than the territories around Derholm. Cumbria is truly a cursed place. The Unified Kingdom has a substantial orc population. These two attempt to extort us, and when we say no, they attack. The Molochian hand assassins are always humans or elves, almost always melee-specced, with an occasional wizard. Arcanum features both real-time and turn-based combat modes.
No.
Neither one is good. I prefer to start in turn-based and then switch to real-time when the battle hits the mop-up stage. Kree is a ruined ancient city populated by barbarians. The layout of the place allows us to avoid the majority of the enemies here. What is this? An ancient golden idol that weighs 500 stone. How much is that in kilograms? That can't be right. Surely some rich asshole in Tarant would want this as a home decoration or whatever. Let's see what's in today's paper. Criminal science marches forward. Professor Gershwin, a noted phrenologist, proposes an interesting way to catch criminals through a technique he calls fingerprinting. Sounds like charlatan nonsense to me. Why not just use divination magic? The upper-class looking lady says she has a job for us. She's married to someone on the Industrial Council. These people rule Tarant and the UK. Another lady, her social rival, recently brought home an exquisite elven funeral dagger. The height of fashion. Oh no, that wouldn't do. She needs to be upstaged. We are to visit an old elven burial site and bring back an even more valuable artifact. Unfortunately, she doesn't want our golden idol. I'll just store.
Like, who wouldn't want the golden idol? Like, seriously. It's up in your alley, lady.
It in our room in one of the local inns, along with other quest items. Alright, back to the plains. Nice, a bunch of dark elves and a still fresh body of a human archaeologist. We can
Dark elves? Huh. So there's different subgroups of elves. Okay.
Get out our employer, but no, I'm not gonna do that. This thing here is the piece we were sent to recover. Jesus Christ, it's twice as heavy as the idol. There are several ways of getting invited to join the Thieves Underground, and the Elven Funeral quest is the easiest.
I might be able to overlook the fact that you consort with such trash.
In order to get full membership privileges, we need to steal a map of the old Tarantian sewer system from the Hall of Records. We are not a qualified thief, but it's still easy to do this by taking advantage of Arcanum's immersive mechanics. The map is in the safe. The safe is locked. The clerk has a key. Sleeping characters are less aware of their surroundings. It's easy to steal.
Yeah, this is definitely not Skyrim. Because in Skyrim, if you try to steal something from someone who's sleeping, they'll wake up. The chances of them waking up are very high, you know? They'll be like, what are you doing here? Guards!
A small item from a sleeping person, even without the skill investment. Nighttime makes our life easier in some ways and harder in others. Possessing great physical strength and endurance, orcs make good laborers. They are allowed inside cities and are not uncommon in proletarian districts. It can be dangerous to walk alone at night. After being formally accepted into the Thieves organization, we finally unload our golden idol. Arcanum has a simple karma system. Some characters will refuse to deal with a protagonist who is too good or too evil. One way of gaming the system is via these beggar NPCs. You can give them money in exchange for positive karma, or tell them to get a job for extra evil points. Didn't work for us because of our extreme personality character trait. This guy is the...
But when you tell someone to get a job, is that considered to be evil? Okay.
Fence for the Thieves Underground. Ignore the dead cop, it was a misunderstanding. Most thieves' jobs are not formal quests and are instead communicated to the player as rumors. We are not really qualified to be doing those. A great number of quests in Tarant are egalitarian when it comes to character level, but not all of them. The Boil is a working people's district on the edge of town, and it's mostly known for violent crime. This group of dangerous locals will make short work of naive individuals who don't understand that this place operates by a different set of rules than most of Tarant. Crime in Arcanum exists in several layers. There is mercenary tomb raiding for the upper classes, there is conventional thieves guild business, and then there is violent street crime. Unfortunately, there is no cool technologist crime as shown in this French postcard. The smuggler's helmet kind of resembles the Grey Fox mask from Oblivion. The western part of the Boil is controlled by Clan Mog. Damien Mog is a half-breed. He commands a small army of orcs, humans, and really all kinds of races are represented. Pollock, the half-ogre, leads the other gang. His area of the Boil is even less developed than Damien's. This establishment is a neutral ground. This is where we talk to both parties and decide whom to side with.
Yeah, a bar is always considered to be a neutral ground where people can meet up and drink and have meetings.
Damien eventually tasks us with killing Pollock. One way of getting to him is via the closed part of the Tehran sewer system. This group of thieves almost qualifies to be called a well-designed combat encounter. Almost. There is a half-ogre, a bunch of dudes in medium armor, and a sorcerer. We can easily kill them by exploiting a choke point. The level cap in Arcanum is 50. Pollock is level 40. Damien Mogg is grateful. I think I'll kill him too. Why not? It's free XP. Now, we have a special reputation for being a member of Clan Mogg and a mortal enemy of Clan Mogg. Whatever, I do what I want. My criticism of the Tarrant experience is that it's excessively quest-based. Once you are done exploring the city and doing all the tasks, there is little reason to stay here. It feels like you've solved Tarrant and it's time to move on. Sure, it's big, but not as big as the cities from GTA games. It's detailed, but not even remotely as detailed as old Ebonheart, a place where every building tells a little environmental story about its inhabitants. But anyway, this kind of talk is premature. We are not done with Tarrant.
I don't know about this gnome. There's something about him I just don't like.
I don't think we can take on Bates by ourselves. We are gonna need a team.
I'm so glad that you're safe. I mean, I never doubted that. Well,
So, Virgil's coming back?
It's weird that you went all the way back to the crash site. So, what do we know about Virgil? Occupation: Panari Priest. Abilities: capable of casting healing spells. Background: a possible criminal past, but we are not one to judge. Off-putting race realism. Our next hire is in Dernholm. Wollinger is an unassuming gnome gunslinger wasting time at a local pub. Occupation:
but there's something about this gnome. I can't quite put my finger on it. Believe me, I've had the questionable sort of past and...
Abilities: a gunfighter is not exactly the strongest character build. Background: maybe some sort of a bandit or whatever. Who cares? Mr. Wollinger, welcome to the Resistance. Next destination is the ancient temple in the Morbihan Plains. Wonder what the symbol on the floor means. The temple has an expansive library with tons of magic.
So, wait, what about Margos then? Because you have Virgil, you have Wollinger, but what about Margos? Margos the dwarf. Okay.
Scrolls. Not a whole lot of in-universe literature in Arcanum.
A home to the Order. Speakers commune, dancing with the dead. They brought us back to sever the hand.
This is Torian Kell, a potential companion, one of the few followers that have a quest associated with them. The adventure involves traveling to another nearby temple, this one inhabited by dangerous wildlife, and getting a bottle of dragon blood from this profane-looking fountain. Using the blood on a skelly turns him into a real boy. If you have a negative alignment and a free follower slot, he joins the group. Occupation:
I was a warrior, raised from the grave to serve in the undead legions of...
Hold on. Let me just get his name. Just need to zoom in. Okay. Torian Kell. Okay.
The Darien Ka.
Abilities: he is a fantastic melee fighter with neutral tech magic aptitude. Background:
He was once a servant of the bloody Darien Ka. Don't you remember the damned Skylers? You can't trust people like those. Dark magics and grave robbing.
You know, if you were more open-minded, Magus, you would still be alive.
Oh, wait, what does he mean by that? Is he dead? When did he die? I mean, we're still hearing his voice. Okay.
Torian probably doesn't know how to use toilet paper. It's gonna be fun to travel to Tarrant with him and observe his reactions.
I've never seen so many people or such strange buildings. The world has changed so much.
Alright, let's do what we came here to do.
I gave Stenar that ring the last time I saw him. And now we are both dead.
I'm sorry guys, yet again, the game is reminding me of Mass Effect now. Not Dragon Age, but Mass Effect. Torian Kell, as a warrior from a time long gone. He reminds me of the Prothean in Mass Effect 3. I forgot what was his name, the Prothean. But yeah, he was also, from a war that, happened a long time ago. And, his civilization was defeated by the Reapers. And his capsule was recovered by Commander Shepard and, his company or her company. And, they brought back this Prothean. And he was also in surprise seeing humans and Asari working together with the Taurians, the Krogan, the Salarians. His species ate Salarians as a delicacy, So he was also a bit bewildered and surprised to see all of these alien races working together on the Citadel. Taurian Cal is kind of giving me that impression about him, where they come from a time where things like this never were seen or understood to be possible. And now he's here witnessing it. Yeah.
State is possibly the most well-guarded building in Tarant, but we have a team of dangerous idiots as well as a plan, and the plan is this. Step 1. It's unlikely that the guards would let the whole group into the manor, so we take the below-ground route instead. The first assumption is that the building can be accessed via the restricted part of the Tarantian sewer system, but this is not the case. Those of you who've been paying attention noticed that the tile set in the basement was different, looked more like catacombs than a sewer. Step 2. Search the graveyard for catacomb access. If there are problems with the cops, deal with them quietly. Navigate the underground passages until at Bates' estate. Step 3. We should arrive at the servants' quarters. This is where they keep extra white uniforms. Make sure everyone is wearing one. Then, make way to the second floor.
Man, this sounds like a Mission Impossible mission. All these steps. And then you still have to wear the clothing of the servants. Oh, wow.
Clothing and armor in Arcanum comes in various sizes. Human clothes are too small for half-ogres to wear and too big for halflings and gnomes. Sometimes you see a fantastic piece of armor for sale only to realize that it's the wrong size. The ancient Frenchman conceptualized a tailoring machine that takes measurements and then manufactures clothes that would fit you perfectly.
By Alberic, I knew it in my heart. That was no gnome. It was Stena Rockcutter.
In a normal playthrough, one would just talk to Bates, since he's actually very forthcoming with information. From then on, you can become an agent of Bates. He'll send you on main quest-related missions all across the continent, and then occasionally debrief you. But writing your own story in the world of the game is the soul of Arcanum. I don't want to work for Bates. We came here to isolate him from the rest of his army of guards. Step 5. Imagine being so naive to think that dying would free you from being interrogated.
Oh damn, he's a ghost now.
What answers do you seek?
The steam engine was a dwarven invention. Thanks to Bates, the technology proliferated through the rest of the world, made him rich. To be fair, he never claimed he invented the thing, but he didn't deny it either.
You must find the boy.
The gnome from the intro, the one who gave us the ring, was actually a dwarf named Stena Rockcutter, an old friend of Bates. After the invention leaked into the world of men, his entire clan was gone. They disappeared. That was decades.
How? Were they killed? Or did they just go into hiding?
Ago. One of the continent's mysteries.
And now we are both dead.
We find Bates' journal in his bedroom. Cedric Appleby will want to see this. We got a special reputation for killing Bates. He was quite popular in Tarant, so the locals will like us a little less. Whatever. Bates, for all his faults, was a genuinely intelligent and creative person. Cedric was always a fraud and an idiot.
Looks like we need to travel to the Black Mountain Clan and try to find out what's going on here. Maybe we can find out where Stena Rockcutter escaped from and find out why everyone seems to want us dead.
Welcome to the...
I'm sure Margos will be happy that we are heading to his ancestral homelands.
Former home of the Black Mountain Clan, a sophisticated dungeon. I always end up underestimating this place, and it always kicks my ass. Multiple levels, different types of threats, plenty of world building, rare loot. Earth elementals come in different variations and damage your weapons when you hit them. The Molochian hand assassins are already here, somehow ahead of us. In the next room, we're attacked by 24 weaker creatures simultaneously. This is what the real-time combat mode is for. The encounter variety variety is great. Underground dwarven settlements would often have these gardens or greenhouses with artificial illumination. Smithing is not the dwarves' only talent. They have a great herbalist tradition as well. Some of the assassins are still alive deep in the dungeon. The main adversary on this level are not the NPCs, it's the goddamn traps. Just look how many there are. The residential area. These little flats actually look kind of comfortable. The throne room. Ahead there is a long tunnel full of traps. Eventually we find the exile and the pillar of truth. The Black Mountain clan was banished by the Wheel clan, sent to the Isle of Despair, an unholy place of judgment. The Isle of Despair is an isolated prison colony, surrounded by both magical and natural phenomena that make traveling there difficult. No one has ever left the island and lived, says the captain in Tarrant. Well, how did it become a prison colony then? Whatever, let's see what's in today's paper. Some of the residents of Ashbury have been reporting sightings of love lights. Ashbury is a port town geographically not far from the island. We should try our luck there.
All aboard!
Ashbury? 2 words. Old people. Of course, there is quite an interesting castle not far from here. Seem to remember something about it being haunted.
Politically a part of the Unified Kingdom, Ashbury is a pleasant suburban resort town. If we can stop the gnome before he beats the dog to death, we can have it as a follower. One of the most powerful companions in the game, actually, and it doesn't even take a follower slot. Mutt doesn't have...
That's cool, that's cool.
Have much of a personality, but it's a brutally effective melee fighter. The only downside is that it can't carry our stuff, and if we have a dog, we are no longer allowed to board trains.
Yeah, that's not really... I don't care. Just teleport or walk.
Yes, elementals are okay, but dogs are a strict no. If you are in need of a skilled sea captain, Edward Teach is the man to see. I'm guessing these are the love lights we've read about. A local inventor, or a scientician like this man describes him, was supposed to upgrade his suit of armor, but he hasn't been seen for a fortnight. Automatons are competent melee fighters that also don't add to your followers count. It's possible to craft your own, but you need to have advanced knowledge in mechanics and smithing. A machined plate, Arcanum's power armor. We give it to the guy outside in order to finish the quest, and then steal it right back by using a fate point. Hell yeah, my favorite character sprite in the game.
Warlockracy is really trying to play the game in the most effective way possible and using the least amount of money, and killing as many important people simply just to gain the XP. And yeah, this is all going to, cumulate in a very effective and easy game play for him as he continues the review. Yeah.
There's quite a famous individual buried here in the Ashbury graveyard.
Meet Joffrey Terrellon Dash. We need a battle wizard, so we'll be taking Joffrey with us. Occupation?
I've a job waiting for me in Tarrant with one of the newer mage consortiums.
Abilities?
Oh, I dabbled in the necromantic arts, mainly on the darker side.
In combat, he would summon an undead follower and then protect himself with a magical force field.
So he's a necromancer.
Background?
Oh, the usual. Raised in Caledon, schooled in Tarrant, summers off the coast of Catan.
Not unlike Torian, Joffrey will only join evil protagonists. Everything in Ashbury is nice. Even the town's crematorium looks comfy. Our gang is growing so numerous, we need some sort of a transport or a base of operations. Or both. We need something like this. A predecessor to a trailer home, except cool and for the upper classes. And land yacht. That would be Edward Teach. His ship is called the Gypsy Shadow. The man used to be in the permanent employ of Bates, until he got murdered by someone. Do we know anything?
Yeah, someone.
About it, he asks. Well, the paper said the murderer was human, but little else. It's one of Arcanum's mysteries, I suppose.
The Isle of Despair? Full of criminals and evil sorts? I really don't mind the place all that much.
It's a penal colony, or it used to be one. Teleportation magic doesn't work here. Scholars speculate that concentrations of strange minerals below the surface prevent some spells from functioning properly.
Yeah, Warlockracy did say that there are natural phenomena and magical phenomena that are preventing anyone to, enter into the penal colony and even exit out of it.
This fort is the only sizable settlement on the island. Like many other prisoners, Cynthia Boggs was born here. The locals used to treat her relatively well while her mother was still alive, but now she is common property. There is a tribe of nomadic women living on the island. Maybe they'll take her in. The island is its own biome, has a few locations to explore, as well as its own encounter table. That includes these spider lady archer creatures. The barbarian women sympathize with Cynthia's plight, but the island is a nasty place, and if she can't make it here on her own, she'll just be a burden. They give us an old rusty revolver we can pass to Cynthia, but if she attacks the guards with it, she'll die. Instead, we temporarily add her to the party. The local guards won't dare fuck with us. Look at that horde, and we're not even at the party limit yet. The woman...
Wait, what's the party limit? What, is it like 10, maybe 20 people? Oh gosh.
Except Cynthia.
It's a small army.
Even though they keep doubting her survival skills. This fantastic piece of art is a...
Yes, what is this?
A Vendigrothian submarine. Vendigroth was a technologically advanced ancient civilization destroyed 2,000 years ago by evil wizard Aronax. It's kind of like Arcanum's Atlantis, except Vendigroth was primarily subterranean, if I understand correctly. We scavenge around for ancient tech...
So were they like dwarves, maybe? Yeah, maybe they were like dwarves, because they're the only race that we know so far that have been living, in subterranean type of civilizations in the game. Yeah, they might have been dwarves.
Technology. The collector back in the camp will reward us handsomely for it. Among the findings, there are 2 Vendigrothian schematics. The text is partially readable. Powerful chassis, unparalleled design, violent reactions, controlled destruction, gunsmiths of Vendigroth. The theme of underwater exploration is strongly present in the French images. I suppose 100 and something years ago, the ocean was still a mysterious place, an unexplored frontier. These are aqua tourists reverse fishing for seagulls, aquanauts racing in the Pacific Ocean.
After what happened with the Ocean Gate incident, ocean tourism to me is off the books. When I'm rich, when I'm like a millionaire, you won't find me, becoming an ocean tourist of any sort. Titanic ruined boats for me, and now Ocean Gate has ruined submarines for me. I'm not touching the ocean that way. I will fly over it. I'll visit the shoreline, but I'm not going there. I'm not going to experience my life on sea and going underwater as well. For what? For who? You don't need to do that anymore. Unless if you're an explorer and you're taking the depths of the ocean, then yeah, you have a reason to go down there. But me personally, I'm not touching that realm of Earth anytime soon. I'm okay watching these things on National Geographic and what is it called again? Animal Planet. Yeah, I'm fine. Oh.
Popular sport draws crowds. I like that this guy is clapping underwater. Every single one of these images is an RPG concept, a quest idea, or just a fun story. Maximilian the Hermit is actually the rightful heir to the throne of Dernholm. The king of Cumbria was killed during the war with Tarant, shot by a simple rifle-carrying peasant. There was a power struggle. The Mages' Council sided with the conservative praetor, who was made king, rejected reform, and doomed Cumbria to stagnation. Maximilian was exiled to despair. He asks us to find one Warren Peldar and tell him that the rightful heir still lives. Well, maybe we will, maybe we won't, if we have the time.
Yeah. I don't know, do we really want the political situation in the Kingdom of Cumbria to be even more in chaos? Yeah, I don't know. Rather just leave it alone. That's a political situation that the people of Cumbria will have to deal with themselves. let's not get into it.
Half Ogre Guard is very articulate. He grew up in an orphanage, worked for a rich family, received good education, maybe too good. There were concerns that the educated folk might be agitating the workforce, and to the prison colony he went. The Black Mountain clan is not on the island. There is only one dwarf here, he is the leader, and they don't allow just anyone to see him. One way of gaining an audience is by fighting in the pit. There are 4 battles. The only notable one is the last fight against a trio of halflings, one of whom summons a fire elemental. As a reward, we get a special reputation as the champion of the pit. Due to our extreme personality trait, Thorvald the dwarf immediately decides he won't be talking to us. But he is wrong. As we
Warlockracy. Hey, this game is wicked, guys. No, this game is wicked. If you're not gonna talk to me, I will find a way by killing you. Oh wow. I can see that this is going to be something that occurs, more often. Wherever there's an NPC not cooperating with you, you die. I resurrect your ghost, and in your ghost form, you'll talk to me. Oh, wow.
Suspected, there are no dwarves here except for Thorvald, who is from the Wheel clan. That's our next destination, I suppose. We'll require a special pair of spectacles in order to see through the protective illusions that obfuscate the entrance to the home of the dwarves. So, the Isle of Despair. I love this little adventure in the desert. Once we leave, it's impossible to come here again. Some locals tried to board the Gypsy Shadow, but it didn't work out for them. Thorvald could have joined us as a temporary companion. Alas, he chose to become a ghost. I would have liked to have a dwarf in our party, to expand our cultural horizons, if nothing else.
I actually really thought that you had Margos with you. I even wrote down his name here, thinking that he was part of the group. But he's not. He's either dead or you just didn't choose him. Okay. But we keep hearing the character's voice. So I thought, yeah, he's part of the group. Oh well.
Speaking of, the Hildebrand Chocolate Company was founded in 1817 by the confectioner Theodore Hildebrand.
Ooh, is that the chocolate? Man, it's thick. Or is that just a plaque? Yeah, sorry guys.
Confectioner. That's a cool job. I bet confectioners have tons of sex. Anyway, supposedly he figured out how to use a steam engine in chocolate production, which allowed the factory to produce more of it, and for a lower price. Germany from the year 2000 is an ad campaign from the year 1900. The Germans loved the idea of personal flying machines and wingsuits. A train moves an entire city block. Look at this loser with a horse carriage. A live broadcast of a theater performance, basically a TV. On the initial glance, this might look like a railway artillery cannon, but it's actually a weather controlling machine. I guess.
Wow. And to think that, in our day and age, yes, there are some stories that some countries have the ability to control their weather, over their countries to a certain extent. Not completely, but just to a certain extent, just to exaggerate or to excite the atmosphere to gather clouds and let the clouds gather together to create a little rainstorm. Yeah. I've read some stories about something like that happening, although I don't really have the proof, and people who write these stories also don't really give us photos or videos of this type of technology. But yeah, we hear stories of countries having this type of technology. But it's also quite interesting to see that it's been in existence for a very long time, this idea of controlling the weather.
Yes, it sucks in the clouds. Arcanum doesn't have a weather system, by the way, unfortunately. A steamship that is also a train. The rail capability allows it to retreat to places where the bad guy ships won't be able to chase it.
Like, really? Yeah, no, that's impractical, I guess.
City protected from bad weather by having a roof built over it.
No. No. A domed city would be fine on Mars or the moon or any other planet, in our solar system, but not, on Earth. We need that type of environment, where the sun is hot, or the rain clouds are gathering and it's a strong storm. We need that type of natural cycle of things. You can't just be building domes over cities simply because you don't want to get wet. No, we need that stuff. We need that nature. Yeah, this is wrong.
It's always nice inside. Airship tourism at the North Pole. This one is by far the best in the series. People are walking on water with the aid of these balloons.
Cool.
And the horse is augmented with the balloon technology. And this child over here is taking it one step further. Balloons are cringe and soy, and I have a one-wheeled water bicycle. This is the Sigma mindset. Oh yeah, so, wheels.
This is the Wheel Clan, home of King Logair Thunderstone. Watch your bloody step around here, and try not to embarrass me. More than likely I'll run into someone I know here, and probably have a few relatives here as well.
I am he of the dark, the rightful ruler of this land, the vengeful god of Arcanum and its races.
This is Aronax. He's doing the Snoke thing, projecting himself to seem bigger than he actually is. Pretty sure he's just a normal-sized elf.
Perhaps I need to be more clear. No one is safe, traveler. No one.
That is, unless elves were taller 2,000 years ago. Seems like it's the opposite that should be the case, but who really knows how the supernatural selection works?
Aronax is returning to Arcanum, and nothing will ever be the same.
Not if Nathan Cole has anything to say about it. You will be stopped.
Farewell.
Is Aronax even bad? Sure, he destroyed that ancient civilization that built the sub we found back on the island, but I don't know, maybe they were Nazis or something. The spectacles reveal the secret entry to the Wheel Clan. This is a legit city-type location. There are stores, side quests, dungeons, quite a bit of stuff to do here. You can even make small talk with random citizens like in Tarant. I sure am worried about Torvald Two-Stones. We haven't seen him around for almost 200 years. Yeah, never heard of anyone by that name, sorry. This is the Dwarven Town Hall or Throne Room, I'm not sure. The disappearance of the Black Mountain clan. Yes, it's an old and dark business. The business of my father, says Randver, the de facto leader of the local dwarves. His father permitted the banishment of his own people by the elves, watched them sent away. Unable to live with the guilt, he exiled himself to the dungeons below. He's actually not that far away. There is a shortcut right here in the throne room, but we need to be an expert diplomat for Randver to reveal this to us. The emergence of the dwarf race was a product of natural selection, nothing to do with magic, for once. Dwarves live for almost 600 years. They are good engineers, but poor sorcerers. There are no dwarven women in Arcanum. This is explained by their ultra-conservative culture. They keep the women out of sight, but the actual reason likely has to do with the devs not having the time and resources required to create the female dwarven sprites.
Yeah, I kind of see that, yeah.
Underground garden here is 3 times as big as the one the Black Mountain dudes had. Arcanum locks access to major settlements behind story events. I'm not sure if I approve of this practice. Goes against the spirit of the genre somewhat. Exploring the dungeons gets us this thing.
Maybe they should have done that, like in terms of expanding the entire Arcanum continent. Where you guys can explore and see what's going on and visit other lands and other kingdoms, because limiting it just to the UK area as well as the Kingdom of Cumbria is just not enough, and some of the islands that are close to the continent, it's just not enough. Yeah, unfortunate, but that's what it is.
Blueprint for a mechanized plate. The real one, not the baby version we are wearing right now, that doesn't even have a strength bonus.
Oh, excuse me. I suppose I was reminiscing again. I follow you. My opinion matters not.
Arcanum can be played solo, with a horde of companions, or anything in between.
Well, this ought to be interesting at least.
The followers are more developed than in Fallout 1, but less than in the second game, or basically in any modern RPG. The Wheel Clan is supposed to be in charge of all the dwarven clans in Arcanum, so this guy is a big deal.
Who dares disturb the exile of Thunderstone?
All dwarves we've met were self-important assholes. assholes, but at least Loghaire has the credentials. For the people who live for hundreds of years, dwarves are surprisingly bad at governance. The old communities are in decline. Many of their numbers seem to prefer to live among humans.
You have the...
Times are changing, you know? You can't live in the same area forever. Things happen, times change, and because they live for so long, some of them want to explore, some of them want to just leave this subterranean civilization and start seeking out a new, better life elsewhere. Yeah, you know.
The audacity to take such a tone with me. I've spilled oceans of blood with this axe.
Do you want to die? Do you want to die and be resurrected as a ghost? Because you are really pushing it here. You are pushing it.
The bodies of the fallen.
I suppose human societies are just more fun. What do the dwarves even have for entertainment? We've seen no pubs, no museums, no fighting arenas, no opera houses. This postcard depicts a one-man mechanized orchestra controlled with levers and switches. Imagine exploring behind the scenes of the opera house as the audience is consumed by the performance of the orchestra engineer. The game doesn't explore human mass culture, unfortunately. Arcanum soundtrack is somewhat unorthodox, being scored almost entirely for string quartet. The composer is Ben Hauge, hopefully that's how you say it. He also worked on audio for Half-Life 1.
He did.
Wake up, Loghaire. It's time for the interrogation session.
You've killed me, and now you call me back to the lands of the living?
Get over.
I know, right? Nathan, bro, no. Warlockracy is cold-hearted.
It, crybaby. Exercise better impulse control in the next life.
The Black Mountain Clan. I betrayed them all.
Shortly after Bates borrowed the steam engine design, an elven delegation visited the Wheel Clan.
The elves. They threatened war. Mingorod, the name of the elf.
Mingorod. The elves were furious. They demanded a punishment for the Black Mountain dwarves. We'll find answers in the elven city of Kintara, but Loghaire doesn't know where that is. Imagine being a king and not knowing where the capital of the most important neighboring state is. Like I said, dwarves are terrible at anything governance related. I should disclose that the king is actually a potential follower with quite a few interesting interactions, including the ones with Magus, another dwarf follower we killed. Funny, in Arcanum, companions and other NPCs are capable of picking up items lying on the ground. Creative players can even take advantage of this mechanic to, say, move an NPC away from the chest they're guarding.
So, Warlockracy killed Margos? Maybe I just didn't see it properly, that, okay, he actually killed Margos. Wow. Okay. Wow.
Characters can pick up items from the bodies as well. Here is Kel stealing Loghaire's axe. A cool mechanic, but it's understandable why it's missing from modern RPGs. The amount of chaos it creates.
Yes, I know a bit about Stillwater. They've got some legend about a creature who roams the hills sucking the flesh off of unwary hunters or something like that.
A beautiful snowy tile set. Stillwater is about the size of Shrouded Hills, part of the Unified Kingdom. Supposedly, one of the local elves might know the location of Kintara. Someone stole the idol of the beloved goddess Geshtiana, the Lady of the Vine. Good thing we're a specialist at finding old idols. So, if I recall correctly, Virgil's mentor Joachim was supposed to leave something for us at the inn, wasn't he? A book on the history of the Molochian Hand. Originally a part of the Order of the Dead, Darien Ka, the leader of the Hand eventually figured out what Darien Ka actually did and had a "we the baddies" kind of moment. One of our companions, Torian, told us the same story from the point of view of the Order.
The Hand threw themselves against us, we without death, time and time again. They severed the arm that held the sword, burned the body which held the arm.
I have mixed feelings about the Hand. Their history is fascinating, but the Order as shown in gameplay, well, they don't feel like a threat at all. This is the house of the elf that can...
They're more like a nuisance.
Possibly tell us the location of Kintara. There is supposed to be a fairly involved quest to get him to trust you, but because of our extreme personality trait, the elf decides to sacrifice his life in a hopeless attempt
Yeah, he decides to sacrifice his life.
to murder us for no good reason whatsoever.
Excuse me, that book is interesting, don't you think? It seems that these Malokian hand assassins were part of some...
Virgil, my friend, can this wait until we search the dead elf? This is not a good time. You know what happens next. It's incredible how helpful elves become once they're dead. We got what we came here for. Yeah, blood, destroyed furniture, tracks on the snow, and this is where they lead. The halfling wizard was kidnapped by an ogre. Drog Blacktooth lived in these parts for years, never bothered the locals before. Guess he got hungry. The individual who made Drog's patch named himself after the character, obviously. But you know what would be funny? If it all was just a coincidence. Maybe Drog means a liquor of pussy in Old Ruthenian. The statue of Geshtiana is a magical artifact. Whoever possesses it becomes more beautiful. The unusually handsome thief doesn't want to give it back, says he'll kill for it. Our stay in Stillwater concludes in a massive orgy. Such is Geshtianite tradition.
Oh my gosh.
The Glimmering Forest is the largest and oldest forest on the continent.
Kintara? Home of the elves? I don't know anything. Nor do I care to, thank you very much. I'd rather not speak of it anymore.
Kintara is a series of interconnected platforms built on top of giant trees.
Wow. This reminds me of Star Wars. What was it? Not Revenge of the Sith. Return of the Jedi. Yeah. Those teddy bear kind of creatures. What are they called again? The Ewoks? Yeah. Cute little things. And they also live up in the trees on platforms like this. Yeah.
Never set my eyes on this place before, but I have heard tales of it. The memories of life. I once had an elven mistress. I still remember her face as I left her to fight in the battle that would take my life.
Wait, that was 1,000 years ago. You're telling me the location of this place still isn't common knowledge? Kintara should be visible from miles away. It would be sweet to have one of them French wingsuits when exploring this place, although I imagine it's next to impossible to aim a rifle while in midair. This elf is very impolite, but most others are nice. They don't seem surprised to see a human in the Tree City. A dwarf wizard. Now that's unique. His name is Jormund. Hey Jormund, seen any elves? A side quest. Someone assassinates the jerk elf and Jormund is blamed because he's a foreigner. The situation can be progressed in a number of ways, including via the summoning of the spirit of the deceased and interviewing him directly. One of the German cards depicts a cop observing a crime via an X-ray device, which I'm sure was very impressive and futuristic, but in Arcanum the best detectives will be mages. The local craftsmen
Yeah, like none can compare. The fact that you can resurrect the dead, none can compare. None.
sell their wares, usually magical in nature. There are no human-style storefronts in Kintara. That's probably space inefficient.
You're bothering me. What do you want?
Raven is in charge of this place.
I'm sorry, but I can't look past your obvious flaws.
She's a potential companion and a romantic interest.
Sounds like she's going to die. The way she's talking right now, I don't know. Lady, you better cooperate.
Her mother, the ancient elven queen known as the Silver Lady, might be able to answer some of our questions. But Raven doesn't want to grant us an audience, not without a favor. Falcon's Ache is an elven holy ground, protected by a powerful spirit. The human lumberjacks are not aware of this, and they don't care. We can remove them via a speech check, or by repeatedly talking shit to the company man, provoking him to attack us. The spirit takes whoever was the first to spill blood. It's not clear if Silver Lady is a name or a title. She is at least 3,000 years old. Personally knew Nasruddin, whose reincarnation our protagonist, the living one, is supposed to be.
3,000 years old. Wow.
I've seen you approaching from both east and west, traveler. And you bring them with you, all of them. They've no choice but to follow.
The woman speaks in riddles. Her voice has a familiar, echoey effect. Reminds me of another Silver Lady.
Oh, look. They've taken in a small child with machine dreams.
That's Bates. She tells a number of things about the past and the future, but the words are impossible to decipher, and none of that is helpful.
But I know that fire in her visions often represents magic.
Raven is more familiar with her mother's idiosyncratic language.
What the Screaming Man and his key represent, I have no idea. But I do know that the official symbol for the city of Caledon is a wolf, with one paw raised in the air.
Caledon, first useful bit of information we got in Kintara.
Mingarad is a dark name. A dark elf name. Do you know of the dark elves?
Do I? Dark elves are basically elf Nazis. We've met plenty of dark elf characters in our travels. They are honestly not that rare. With Drogspatch, you can even play as one. The difference between them and the Kintarians appears to be ideological. The two communities.
Oh, I was going to say that, you know, the Kintari elves are like wood elves, and the dark elves are dark elves. Yeah, but okay.
Is split 500 years ago.
There was a man many years ago who had come to the Glimmering Forest to study the elves, and I remember that he was very interested in the dark elves especially. A strange little man, a bit overdressed, but kind-hearted and very intelligent. I was young then, a mere 160 years old. He was the first human I'd ever seen.
Man, I wish I had lived as long as elves. Wow. You were still young at 100 and something years old. Oh my gosh, I'm so jealous.
He fucked for sure.
Terwilliger. Dr. Renford A. Terwilliger.
It's a long journey back to Tarrant.
What do I know of this place? This is Tarrant. What don't I know of it? Full of barbarous technologists and uncultured laborers.
Barely any people on the streets at night. By the way, this thing? I believe it's called a steam rail, a fast travel service within the city, a metro. Almost all stores close after dark. The shopkeepers go to bed. The black magic shop is the exception. It's open only after dark. This fellow by the steam rail station asks us to deliver a message to Matt de Cesare. He is in the Gentleman's Club, a male-only establishment. De Cesare shoots and kills the assassin we inadvertently led to him. And this is how the most elaborate and controversial side adventure in Arcanum begins. He is an investigator, and there is a conspiracy afoot. De Cesare needs us to recover the skulls of the Renar Siamese twins. Some years ago, bizarre breeding experiments were begun in secret, and this would eventually affect the balance of power here in Tarrant.
Breeding experiments? Huh.
Says, the twins were the first viable offspring, the first piece in the chain of evidence. We need to find Arthur Tyron in Blackroot. He is another conspiracy investigator. But before I dive into the rabbit hole, I want a second opinion. Tarrant hosts quite a few academics. One of them is this gnome, a specialist in phrenology, which involves analyzing skull shapes in order to predict mental traits. Some say the twins were not completely elven, but these are just bizarre conspiracy theories. Since we are in the area, I might as well stop by the Hall of Records and ask for that Terwilliger fellow. The man died decades ago. He wrote a book, Horror Among the Dark Elves it's called. Maybe there is a copy in the local library. There isn't one. Instead we get a book about a book. Apparently the original is quite rare. There were very few copies printed, and their owners have a habit of dying under mysterious circumstances.
I think someone wants to keep the truth a secret.
Interesting. The only remaining copy of the book is in possession of one Victor Misk in Caledon. We're heading to Blackroot to sort out the De Cesare business. There, we'll be taking a ship to Caledon. You've made a mistake crossing Bates, friend, says the mercenary. That bourgeois pig got what he deserved. I wonder who hired him, since Bates is very much dead. This little house on the edge of town has been abandoned for some time. The Crow is in danger, says the note. Signed, Tyron. It's annoying that travel to Caledon is arbitrarily restricted until the story needs us to go there.
Caledon? Yes, I'm actually from here. I've lived here for many, that I've visited here many times. You know, on my travels, during my search. It's a beautiful city. I recommend seeing the royal castle. It's quite a feat of architecture. More than likely, The dwarves had something to do with it.
Welcome to the Kingdom of Arland. The capital city of Caledon is the second biggest settlement on the continent. Our protagonist has been to Caledon before. This is where we boarded the IFS Zephyr, the first lighter-than-air flying machine in Arcanum. This guy happens to be a member of the Thieves Underground, and he knows us by name. Police station, the telegraph office, a museum, magical artifacts, items of Caledonian martial tradition, recent technological marvels, and of course the city's main attraction, the famous Caledon Zoo.
Excuse me, I'll just be a moment.
Real character development hours.
Lawrence was my friend. We grew up together. In Tarant, actually. He died in an accident.
This is the family of Victor Misk. The late Victor Misk, as it turns out. He passed away 4 days ago. A fresh grave. Inside, a book. But not the one we're looking for. This is a tale of Nasruddin banishing the bad guy elf Aronax to the void. Purchased at the Roseboro gift shop. Roseboro is a town not far from here. The city dwarf helpfully marks it on our map. The Kingdom of Arland and the UK are on good terms. Even the local newspaper is the familiar The Tarantian. On the outskirts of Caledon, we find this expansive inventor's workshop. This is the person who built the flying machines that took down the IFS Zephyr in the intro cutscene. The
Arrest him.
Malokian hand augurs stole the prototypes and burned down the factory. There is
Oh, okay. Don't arrest him.
no proof that the machines were capable of flight. King's advisors think the inventor is a fraud, and that heavier-than-air flight is impossible. Well, I have some good news and some bad news. The technologist happens to be the master of repair, the only one in Arcanum, I'm pretty sure. This means he's the only character capable of fixing broken, i.e. red, items. The castle has a sophisticated system of ventilation and power generation. It's possible.
Can't your character player also achieve that status of Master of Repair?
That Magus was right. This does look dwarfy to me. We use a fate point to steal a suit of halfling-sized power armor from a local smith. You can literally steal armor that is currently being worn with 0 skill investment. That's how powerful fate points are. That's Tyron, the conspiracy investigator we were supposed to meet in Black Root. He has uncovered the plot, the ramifications of which could bring down the government of Tarant. Have you ever wondered where all the half-ogres are coming from? 100 years ago, a half-ogre was a rare thing. Human women are not equipped to birth a baby the size of a half-ogre. Content warning, it's gonna get pretty gross. They are breeding them. They've enslaved women and are forcing them to mate with ogres. And who are they? The gnomes, of course. The gnomes of the Industrial Council of Tarant.
Really?
Haven't you ever noticed that every gnome seems to have at least 1 or 2 half-ogre guards following him around? They are breeding them for protection. The Siamese...
Man, this Tarant government is not... It's not what I thought it was, really. It seems like it's been controlled by big business, and big business write the laws, they maintain the laws, and make sure that the laws benefit them. And here we have this gnome, the gnomes, I don't know how many of them, that are committing this type of atrocity by having human women being, impregnated with ogre children. Oh gosh. Oh.
Twins were the result of their twisted experiments. Initially, the gnomes tried breeding elves with orcs to produce a breed of sorcerous creature that would be physically strong and yet easy to influence and keep under control. This was before the Industrial Revolution changed the world. The lab where the breeding experiments took place is located on an island off the coast of Cumbria. A ship can take us there for a fee.
Of course, they want this type of operation out of sight from the general public, because if the general public knew about all of this, the United Kingdom would go into pandemonium, would just topple itself over, it'll just be a civil war. Oh.
It's possible to explore the island in the world map travel mode, but the place is empty. There is nothing here except for this old abandoned building. This is the half-ogre factory. It's exactly what it looks like. gross. We find a lab journal. Experiment 1004A, Section 5. A male human and a female half-ogre producing offspring seems to be an extremely rare occurrence and cannot be dependent on for significant numbers. Experiment 1015E, Section 1. The new surgical techniques we are applying have reduced the numbers of fatalities by removing the unborn before term. Subnote 1. Scientific advancement would never occur if the weak-willed were to have their say. Outside there are these
madness.
Cages. Some of the bones appear to be human-sized. Others belong to a larger creature. Tyron is no longer at his Caledon residence. Instead, we find this gnome gentleman. Says he is also a detective. About 55 years ago, a group of gnomes from various parts of Arcanum began acquire large amounts of money from investments in the new technology. As their wealth and
This is not technology. This is just... It's just horror. It's evil.
influence grew, age-old prejudices began to surface. The other races did not trust them. They were thefts, beatings, threats. Keep to your place, little gnomes. Human bodyguards were found to be untrustworthy, and this was when the first breeding experiment started. The king discovered what was going on. Unfortunately for him, at this stage the gnomes had become rich enough to purchase King's murder. They framed the queen as the killer of her husband. The woman herself was kidnapped, brought to the island. She mothered 3 half-ogres before she died. The gnome-dominated industrial council seized power in Tarant. The kingdom was no more.
Yeah, it's essentially a corporation.
Mysterious rash of disappearances of the wives and daughters of the political enemies of the council began. Eventually, the gnomes bred enough half-ogre females to no longer require human women. There is an operational breeding facility somewhere. We can go.
You need to destroy it, if it's possible. You need to destroy it.
To the press with this, but what would that accomplish? They'll take us for a deranged conspiracy theorist. For all we know, the lab journal we found could have been written last week. There is nothing we can do. The gnomes won. I vent my frustration.
I wish this was the premise of the game. To stop the gnomes from doing these heinous acts against other races. Especially the gnomes that control these major corporations that now control the United Kingdom. I wish there was a way to stop them, to put an end to this. Oh gosh.
By killing this guy, who is obviously not a real detective and probably murdered Tyron. Summoning his spirit does nothing to progress the quest, but I keep it around anyway just to torment him.
Let him suffer.
Back in Tarant, De Cesare is gone. Looks like this side adventure is over. So, let's point out the obvious. This is remarkably similar to real-life anti-Semitic conspiracy theories, even. There are several distinct ones merged together. A wealthy foreign group gains power and influence, destroys the established political order, forced race mixing. To make things even more weird, in the narrative of the game, all of this is shown as being true. So, what's going on there, Arcanum? Am I now a red-pilled Pepe from Kakistan? Well, some of the anti-Semitic canards are centuries old. Back in 2001, when Arcanum was released, the gamer audience weren't familiar with this particular brand of hate culture.
Yeah, me neither, really. I'm not really familiar with it.
The Red Pill Pepe Kekistan shit wasn't a thing until 2014 or 2015, so I imagine what happened is that the writers studied racist canards in order to make the game seem period authentic. Some of these conspiracies were incorporated into the game's story in a manner that is more than a little distasteful.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Racism and racial prejudice play an important role in both the lore of Arcanum and in its gameplay. I should have played as a half-orc to showcase it a little better. Back to the matter at hand. How do we take revenge on the Industrial Council gnomes? Looks like we're...
Revenge? I want them dead.
We're out of options. Or maybe not. Don't you just love when opportunities literally fall on your lap?
With some blood.
The orc laborers are on strike. Don Throg, their leader, is a half-orc, and because of his human blood, he can make a case for his right to unionize before the council. Pure orcs don't have any rights, I'm pretty sure. They feel they have to do this in order to get any attention to their plight. A different protest some time ago was brutally crushed by the cops. They gunned down 20 people. Just like that. Nobody cared.
Workers' revolution. We need a workers' revolution. We need this oligarchy to come to an end. We need the comrades to fight for a workers' civilization. That's what we need right now.
Я посвятил свою жизнь строительству бесклассового общества.
Значит, дедушка был прав? Вы в самом деле либерал?
Я думал, что за 4 года пребывания в Париже вы хоть чему-нибудь научились.
Throg is a unique individual. Instead of making him look like a dumb brute, his half-orcish features gave him a somewhat conventionally attractive look. Furthermore, he's both intelligent and charismatic. The striking orcs let us in. Throg is pacing nervously in the back room. There are many different ways of resolving this situation. At this stage, we are pretty good at speechcraft, and it doesn't take much to convince a desperate man that violence is his only option. It is time they felt your pain, Throg. Tarant dies tonight. One of the dead cops had this thing on him, a rare and sophisticated levered machine gun. Throg wasn't kidding. The orcs are everywhere, killing cops, civilians, looting stores. Might as well take advantage of the situation. In Arcanum, merchants have their entire selection as well as all their money in a secure chest hidden somewhere inside the store. We are about to get absurdly rich. The robbery of the Tarant magic shop was actually one of the harder battles in this game so far, but it was worth it. The amount of money we have is now effectively unlimited.
Oh my gosh.
Let's see how good the half-ogre bodyguards actually are. This is not a real revolution, obviously. They are no longer pursuing political goals. It's a violent riot, and we are directly responsible for all of this. The game
all according to plan.
Game issues us a special reputation, instigator of the orc riots. We are now the enemy of both Tarant and Caledon. Thankfully,
come at thee.
The ship captain doesn't seem to care. We book passage to Ireland.
Hey, money is money. Money is money to the captain. Like, you need a ferry? Okay, let's go.
I see a great storm, and all lost in its raging. I see something else. A thing of death. It's too much. I can't look anymore.
I love taking random concepts and adding the word punk to them. It's artsy. I will not be explaining what it means. Moscow of the Future is a series of futuristic postcards produced in 1914, depicting life in the city in 22nd and 23rd centuries, depending on a card. This, too, was produced by the Chocolate Mafia, specifically by the Anam Pastry Shop. The Petersburg Highway, a beautiful clear winter of 2259.
Wow, look at them all on their car sleds. That's beautiful, though.
The road is made into a crystal ice mirror. The prop vehicles are called aerosleds. The main trope in the Russian cards are the above-ground railways called sky roads.
Yeah, we got that. We got that.
And here we can see an ornithopter aircraft, like in the French and German cards. The factory that ordered the creation of the postcards eventually changed its name to Red October. It still exists, and a few years ago, they announced a new competition for artists to depict the city of the future. It's the centuries-old conspiracy of chocolate makers. They want to make Arcanum real via hyperstition.
There were so many damned elves running around during the Age of Legends. I swear, if you didn't have pointy ears and a ghostious complexion back then, you weren't making the historical who's who. So very old-fashioned.
Roseborough is a quiet little place with a lot of history. The inn is unfortunately off-limits to us. After what we did in Tarant, it's best to keep distance from big gatherings of politically conscious locals. The town economy is based on sheep farming and tourism. This arrangement of stone
Looks like Stonehenge.
This is the Ring of Brodgar, a ritual site connected to the banishment of the elf supervillain Aronax to the Pooh dimension. The grave of Philip Misk. Inside there is a book we've been searching for. Sanang, Horror Among the Dark Elves, by Renford A. Terwilliger. I dedicate this to my dearest Raven. I would gladly face again these horrors and 1,000 others for only a moment with you. We have the location of the Dark Elf City. Remember the cold shot feature the classic Fallout games had? Arcanum also has something similar, but without the cool aiming interface. I suspect most players don't even know the feature exists. When I looked up, I saw it. There in the trees above me was Tsanang, the home of the Dark Elves. An abomination slouched in the branches like a great beast, waiting for its prey.
I can't say I know anything about it.
Tsanang. Okay.
But I must admit, I'm having a wonderful time here. These dark elves are my sort of people. You can just feel the evil flowing through the place. Not a bad spot for a summer home.
Where is your...
Who's talking? Is it Joffrey?
Your amulet, Malokian, asks the Dark Elf. Good thing I kept one in my inventory just in case. Moody ambient, a lot of patrolling guards.
Oh, they also live in trees, just like the elves of Quintari. Okay.
Everyone is rude. It's Balmora all over again.
What do you want of me? I rarely speak with those of your kind.
Meet Za'an al-Urin, a dark elf priestess and a future follower of ours. Occupation, a diviner who can see the future. So she already knows who we are and why we're here.
And you have no idea where we are going. And I will not tell you.
Abilities. She's a powerful offensive spellcaster with some basic melee skills. Background. Served the Dark Elf Nazi regime for possibly hundreds of years. Not a whole lot of stuff to do in Tsanang. We can free these half-ogres. That's a side quest.
Stenar, the dwarf from the blimp, was one of the most skilled engineers. His loss set our timetable back a fair amount.
All ancient beings in Arcanum are surprisingly naive and easy to trick. The goal of the Dark Elves is to bring Aronax back from the Void. This is where the Black Mountain Dwarves are. Known for their engineering skills, they were enslaved and banished to the Void to build a machine, a gate of some kind that would connect that dimension with our own, allowing Aronax to return.
Why would they want Aronax to return?
This machine appears to be partially functional already. That's how Stenar Rockcutter was able to escape.
After all those years of trying to concoct a plausible excuse to banish a group of dwarves, that young fool stumbles in there and walks away with their cherished technology.
So it wasn't Bates' fault after all. Fascinating. And in order to learn all that, we didn't even have to kill her and interrogate the corpse, as is procedure. A man is waiting for us on the bridge next to the treehouse. I know who you are, he says. This is Gideon Lair, first blade of the Malokian hand, and he was studying us for a very long time. I find it interesting that you are a mere whipping boy for the Dark Elves. The hand serves no one. The Dark Elves are our most current employers.
And you don't have a master? Oh, okay.
So, what was that I did? You've done nothing at all. The original contract was for a dwarf Stenar Rockcutter. You spoke to the dwarf, and so involved yourself in his affairs. I know of the Darien Ka, Gideon. The Malokians were a tool of genocidal necromancer Kergan the Terrible, before the first Blade of the Hand realized the true nature of Darien Ka and rebelled against the Order of the Dead. That we once served such evil ends is a shame to us. Wait till you hear about what the Dark Elves are up to. Gideon apologizes to us. They've been manipulated again. The Hand won't bother us anymore. And
they better not.
Bollinger, he says, your mission is complete. Turns out our gnome friend was a Malokian assassin in deep cover. Virgil's earlier intuitions were correct. The Hand never fully trusted me in Gorad. Bollinger's job was to observe and decide on the best course of action. Being a gunfighter, he doesn't seem very Malokian, which, if you think about it, makes him a perfect spy. If we would have failed to resolve our conflict with Gideon peacefully, Bollinger would attempt to assassinate us after we left Sanyang.
Damn, bro.
Glad things turned out the way they did. I like both of these characters. Looks like we're done here. It's possible to side with the Dark Elves and progress the main quest that way, but they'll ask us to prove our allegiance, and that would include murdering everyone in Stillwater. No thanks, I have good memories of that place. Min Garad is not a follower, but she is romanceable for evil male elf characters, and it
okay.
makes sense to restrict it to elves. The woman is probably hundreds of years old, an uncomfortable age gap from a human point of view.
Excuse me, I have something I need to talk with you about. I have to leave. There's something I need to do.
Who's talking? Is it Virgil?
Something I should have done a long time ago.
Virgil's story arc needs to be resolved. Don't worry, we are not leaving our buddy for the second time.
The boy who changed the world. A family who communes with the dead. And someone who might just change the world again.
I wish you could get Zaan early in the game so that deciphering these visions would actually be interesting and useful. Having so much content gated behind the main quest events is a very serious design flaw.
I see a man who can fly, and a lie that was buried.
A lie that was buried. Virgil said he was going to Caledon to confront his past or whatever. We, too, are confronting things. As a consequence of our actions in Tarant, the streets of Caledon are a battlefield. We eventually find Virgil, surrounded by thugs, and dead. Conveniently,
no, Virgil!
There is a resurrection scroll in one of the crates.
Oh, okay, welcome back, Virgil.
Greetings, my friend. It seems we both have come a long way.
Meet Zen Virgil. After confronting his brother's murderers and dying, he came back a changed man, no longer burdened by guilt.
It no longer holds any power over me.
His character arc can be resolved in one of two ways, producing either Zen Virgil or psychotic Clockwork Orange Virgil.
And she better be forthcoming with
Orange or Zen. Huh.
The information we need about this Aranax, or we might simply have to set fire to the elf village, eh?
The voice...
Oh, so that's Orange Virgil. Wow.
Voice acting changes to reflect that. I wonder if generic NPCs are resurrectable. It would be cool to play a pacifist sorcerer that kills dudes in self-defense, but then resurrects them when the conflict is over. While we converse with Virgil, an old man enters the room.
I am Elder Joachim.
Oh, so that's how you pronounce that.
Ah, that is quite a tale. You've done very well, and I think your journey is approaching the end.
If we had evil Virgil, then the meeting with his mentor would conclude in a boss fight. I wonder what went through Joachim's head as he was stepping over the dead bodies outside on his way to meet Virgil. The elves won't allow us back in Kintara as long as Zaan is in the group.
Your answer lies with Nasruddin.
Like it's buried with him or something? Raven says we should travel back to Caledon. The Panari
back and forth, oh my gosh.
Venerate Nasruddin, and perhaps they know more.
Good show! Perhaps they'll think twice before attacking us again, eh?
I thought of complaining about the game's difficulty curve and how that ruins verisimilitude or whatever, but actually these late-game battles are appropriately challenging. Wait, these are the city officials. We are in the wrong fucking place. This is the Caledon Royal Palace. The Panari Temple is across the street. Now
how did you get into this situation again? Where you are in the wrong place? How did you get into this situation?
Nasruddin traveled to the southernmost tip of the land and there laid himself to rest. This building was constructed over his remains, says the first acolyte, quoting a Panari religious text. Interesting. The doors to the office of the head priest are guarded by dark elves. In the dungeon underneath, we find what is supposed to be Nasruddin's sarcophagus.
They probably destroyed the sarcophagus in there and destroyed the body or the bones or whatever's left.
Inside, a skull. No shortage of expert phrenologists in Caledon. Nasruddin was an elf. The skull is human. Sensational. The scholar thinks there might be an issue with the translation. The copy of the text he's studying suggests Nasruddin might be buried in Thanatos, a jungle island. The person in the sarcophagus was someone else. Courtesy war.
Man, that's even worse than my idea. Because I thought, no, the Dark Elves must have infiltrated the temple already and destroyed any evidence of Nostradon. You know, completely making sure that nobody is able to get anything. But no, to our surprise, the guy was actually buried somewhere else. And in the sarcophagus is actually just a human being.
Warning, there is a major plot twist ahead.
Oh, it's only the Isle of Thanatos. Monster Island, I think they call it. Can't say as I'm extremely happy to be here, considering that it's more than likely the most dangerous place in all of Arcanum. Have I thanked you for the wonderful holiday, my friend?
Captain Teach lost the Gypsy Shadow in a game of dice. We can try winning it back, or we can go on a fairly long side adventure that involves borrowing a boat from an undead pirate. Another option is just buying a ship. Costs a fortune, but since we expropriated Tarantian wealth, we can afford a flotilla of ships. I'm the captain now. I go where I want. Oh, and that reminds me. Here is a picture of German underwater tourists. See this in the background? The familiar silhouette of waterbiking Chad.
Guys, that tourist boat or whatever that submarine is going to be crushed by the pressure, and it's going to become like Ocean Gate all over again. No ways, no thank you.
Thanatos is fully explorable, and it actually has optional locations like these ruins. The danger presented by the local wildlife is overblown. Hidden in the jungle is a lonely shack.
How dare you, old man? Do you have any idea who you're talking about? Nasruddin was the wisest and most benevolent elf in the history of Arcanum.
Virgil Panarisplains what Nasruddin was actually like to Nasruddin.
What was so great about him? Damned fool, if you ask me.
This is awkward. If he is still alive, this means we can't be his reincarnation. Well, prophecies are usually a bunch of shit. The elves thought of themselves as great benefactors of all lesser races. Even Nasruddin himself suffered from this internalized elf supremacy, and that was
oh no.
The culture his son Aronax grew up marinating in.
It was the ultimate weapon. Once something was banished from this plane of existence, it could never return.
Back then, the cool thing to do among the council elves was banishing their opponents to the void, correctly assessing that they'll need to come up with a way of defending themselves against Aronax and other insane elves. The brightest minds of Vendigroth invented a powerful anti-sorcerer weapon. Aronax responded by wiping out the entire province of Vendigroth from the face of Arcanum.
He felt himself betrayed when the council condemned his actions. He showed no remorse. In his arrogance, he was sure he would be vindicated.
Yeah, I can see the resemblance. This cutscene is absolutely terrible. I love it.
Yeah, it's kind of cool though. It's kind of cool.
For the crime of genocide, Aronax was banished to the void by his own father. We need to go to Vendigroth, find the ancient weapon they invented, if it still exists. Afterwards, we'll bring it to Roseborough. Nasruddin will be waiting for us at the Ring of Brodgar. He will banish us to the void.
I can't stand Tula. Everyone is so bloody boring. You think it was a damn graveyard with all the walking dead around here?
On the other side of that bridge, there is a vast desert known as the Vendigroth Wastes. The Spider Women from the Isle of Despair make a reappearance. We don't know the exact location of the ruins where the device was kept. Perhaps someone in Tula can help us.
Oh, I know Tula all too well. Spent 2 of the most boring years here. Didn't leave on the best of terms with the headmaster, if you know what I mean.
Man, everywhere's boring for you, isn't it, Joffrey?
Tula is a city of wizards. Well, it's more like a wizard university hidden in the middle of the desert. Unfortunately, the Vendigroth Wastes and Tula are inaccessible until the main story wants us to go here. Do you feel threatened by the advancement of technology? I have seen no technological equivalent to the power of the air. Threatened? Not in the slightest. I pity the common man. He is being duped by charlatans displaying such base tricks of no substance. Yeah, air, the college that grants an amazing ability ability to push an object slightly to the side.
Nazrudin speaks to us all at one time or another.
No, I mean I literally spoke to the guy. In order to learn the location of Vendigroth, we need to do a puzzle that involves stepping on these platforms in the correct order.
One last thing, if I might, I would choose my traveling companions a bit more wisely if I were you. I can't say I'm pleased to see you, Mr. Terralandash.
I would choose my traveling companions a bit more wisely if I were you.
The founder of Tula was a powerful diviner who could see the future. He foresaw that the living one would need his advice, so he set up this elaborate puzzle ritual thing so we could contact his spirit. Could have just left a journal or a map of the wasteland or both. What if someone else solves the puzzle? What if someone like Jeffrey does?
I wasn't even aware there was such a thing. I mean, I'm not surprised. Just about anything that spends any time in the Vendigroth wastes is going to come to ruin. Sometimes I'm just so bloody clever.
I don't really like Joffrey, you know. I don't really find him welcoming. Yeah.
This is what's left of the nation of Vendigroth. And that would be, I guess this is their Statue of Liberty?
Yeah.
The entrance to the dungeon. Vendigroth was mostly a subterranean nation. These tunnels are streets. There are private residences, stores, even a temple. It's like an underground Tarant. We find...
I'm sure there were also a dwarven empire, probably, in the past. I'm assuming.
Find an old newspaper. Professor Hunley to test submersible. That would be the machine we found on the Isle of Despair. The Ladies' Society of Vendigroth will once again hold a charity ball this Saturday evening. This event will benefit orphans and survivors of foreign wars. Strict dress code will be enforced. Vivifier is the most potent medicine in the game. Extensive academic knowledge is required in order to make this thing. Look at this. Street lights. Dwarves didn't have street lights. Kiting spiders fireball attack like an expert gamer I am. Oh wow, the ruins are thousands of years old and yet the food on the shelves is still fresh. Didn't realize this was a Bethesda game, am I right? Mage threatens Vendigroth. Aronax launched into a prolonged lecture on the right of the elves to rule, after which the governor asked him to leave. We of the Vendigroth Times would like to applaud the actions of the governor, who we have been critical of in the past. The lowest levels of the city are guarded by still active automatons. Scanlan's factory destroyed by Mage. After callously destroying the factory and thereby causing countless deaths, he had the audacity to threaten the governor yet again. We have no comment from the governor on the direction of the meeting took after that, as he is still in critical condition in the hospital. Our first line of defense is complete, boasted Dr. Samuel Freyhoff, as he held up what the press began calling Freyhoff's device. An underground park, trees, streetlights, benches, a shrine to the Overgod. At least some of the people of Vendigroth were religious. The Freyhoff's device, or the Vendigroth device.
Whoa. That really looks advanced. I don't know what it could be exactly, but wow.
As Nasruddin calls it. This is what we came here for.
May the gods bless your journeys.
Thanks, guy. You sure were useless. I understand why Jeffrey hates this place. We take the portal.
No, but Jeffrey is just as insufferable as they are, so no.
To Roseborough. The Ring of Brodgar. The barrier between worlds is weaker here.
Are you prepared to face Aronax?
The void is where people go when they are banished. Don't ask me about it. I don't know what it's like. In fact, no one knows, because no one has ever come back from there.
In heaven, all interesting people are missing, because they're all here. Over the centuries, many individuals were banished to the void. Time doesn't work here like it does in the material
Is that a demon?
plane. Nothing ages. The ring is surrounded by strange machinery, dwarven work, ruins of an unknown civilization. We'll never learn.
Probably they were also dwarven. What I've realized is that in this game, it's the dwarven civilizations, you know, that really built technology that could stand the test of time and, you know, that were extremely effective and capable, whether on Arcanum or here in the Void, I think.
Anything about them. The undead guards are a little surprised to see us, but sure, they don't mind us talking to Aronax.
Half snake, half human creature there, so...
A little weird.
Well, what brings you to my corner of oblivion?
Do you know what your problem is, Aronax? You have an evil-sounding name.
Do not misunderstand me. I take full responsibility for my actions. Though, how are one's actions determined, really? How is our view of the world shaped?
We live in a society.
He raised me on tales of the righteous superiority of the elves and the destiny that brought us to rule over all the races.
This is the second plot twist. Aronax had nothing to do with the events of the game. After Nasruddin banished him to the Void, he had a brief confrontation with the locals, most notable of whom was human necromancer Kerrigan, the leader of Darien Ka. Kerrigan defeated Aronax and trapped him inside this shell, where he remained unaging and unchanging for more than 2,000 years. He couldn't even go insane. No such mercy in the Void. For 2,000 years he stared at the walls of his prison, thinking about what he did. And over time he developed a critical theory of sorts. He's a moral agent responsible for his actions, sure, but he was raised in the culture where elven supremacy was never questioned. He was young. Why didn't his father stop him?
Why didn't he stop me? He should have stopped me.
Grievous errors in judgment? That's what you call the horror that you visited upon Vendigroth, upon all of Arcanum?
Meeting Aronax concludes Zaan the Priestess character arc. I served the Dark Elf regime for hundreds of years, believing the false ideology of elven supremacy over a common Englishman. It's not the blood in your veins that makes you, says Aronax. The apparition that spoke to us back in the mountains was Kerrigan. He impersonated Aronax, tricked the Dark Elves, who then tricked the dwarves.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah, because I was kind of questioning, like, is this the same guy that was busy saying that, you know, my return is coming soon and I will soon rule over this planet? Or should I say I'll rule over Arcanum? He didn't sound like that guy, you know, in terms of the speech. Yeah, okay, this storyline is really taking us places. It's really taking us places.
It's all very 16-dimensional. We release Aronax and he joins the group. Occupation.
Splendid! I applaud your talent at smiting fools.
Is he a cheerleader?
Currently not in education, employment, or training. Abilities. He's a level 50 super wizard, but actually I don't think I've ever seen him cast spells. I think the AI is bugged. Background. Ex-con, ex-elf Hitler. Possibly only has a single testicle, but that's unconfirmed. This is Kerrigan's palace. I wonder who built this place, his minions or the prior civilization that used to exist in the Void. The tile set is unique to this dimension, which is cool. Aronax died. I failed to capture that moment on video because we have so many companions and their icons no longer fit on the screen and are very confusing to manage.
Man, that's unfortunate. That's really unfortunate.
Anticlimactic, I know. But don't worry though, I have a feeling that things are gonna work out for him.
Wait, can't you resurrect him?
Somehow. Dwarven industrial machinery. And this is the gate they're building. The residential area. A lot of fresh dwarven bodies. Their spirits tell us nothing. Survivors. They tell the story of Stenar, who shaved off his beard in order to pass as a gnome, and escaped via the gate to warn everyone of what's coming. Zaan dies here. Her arc is complete, and I'm at peace with this.
Goodbye, Zaan.
Greetings. Long have I waited for your arrival. And finally this moment has come. I am Kerrigan, first of the necromancers, voyager in the lands of the dead.
For the love of God, Virgil, please stop casting these annoying healing spells. We're talking here.
In this so-called prison, there are no limits. There is no end.
Kerrigan was the first and only human to ever serve on the Elven Council, and was subsequently banished to the Void for all the unethical experiments he was doing. The Void is an amazing place. There is no aging. You'd think Aronax would go insane after being trapped in a bubble for 1,000 years, but no mental illness. But there is creativity. Kerrigan was able to come up with all sorts of plans and strategies. Just think what we can do with a place such as this. We can build a city of scienticians, sorcerers, artists, all dedicated to their craft forever.
You've no idea what I've discovered.
Maybe that's what the Void was intended for, before it was used as a prison. Maybe that's what it was intended for magic users, for engineers, for artists, for other scientists, for different fields of study. Would be able to come here to develop their knowledge base and, have it benefit Arcanum. Maybe that's what this place was for before it became a prison.
You see with eyes tainted by life and all which that accursed state embodies.
Oh no!
And do you know what I found there?
He looks like a Sith Lord. Yeah. Like Palpatine.
There, among the silent and battered shells of the innumerable, peace, enlightenment, truth. Only then did I realize that this place, this life, is an abomination.
It is with a heavy heart that I must announce that Kurgan is stupid. I was thinking about something. Remember the prison island? Ever since Thorvald committed suicide by Mutt, we are the ranking warlord in the colony. We can proclaim nationhood and annex the Void territories for the Nation of Despair. Yeah, we do have a branding problem.
Do you understand the meaning of his words? Release for everyone. No more life. No more pain.
Torian is about to betray us, and his reasoning makes much more sense than Kurgan's, which is just bad philosophy. Our former companion managed to preserve consciousness and sanity, but the rest of his undead legions weren't so lucky. Kurgan's anti-life ideology would free them from torment forever.
What?
Yeah, but no, I don't think it's going to be right for everybody else on Arcanum. I don't know. There's just not enough data to suggest that it's going to be a perfect world. No.
He is saying it's not completely untrue. I've seen the places he speaks of, felt the peace and serenity of that great Dead Sea.
Virgil knows a thing or two about death and Zen. He'll stick with us no matter what. A true friend.
Thank you, Virgil. Since day one, this guy's been with us. Since day one, he has not betrayed us. He's not, started thinking differently from us. He's not some secret agent like, what's his name again? Vollinger. He's been with us. I'll ride and die.
One almost has to admire the bastard. Yes, admire him indeed. Well, how could I not? The man is a legend in my circles. What?
Joffrey, I'm not really surprised, I'm just disappointed.
Not much you can do to argue with him. A man would have to be a bloody fool to get on the bad side of Kurgan the Terrible.
Then be that fool with us, Joffrey. Be that fool with us.
Joffrey?
But no one ever said I wasn't a bloody fool. Had you going there, didn't I?
Yeah, you kinda did.
The fun in life is tormenting the souls of the dead.
You know what? I cannot agree more.
Very well.
To battle.
Shall send you to that great Dead Sea, and then you shall know.
We hit max level just prior to the final battle. Kurgan turns into this snake demon thing, his true form or his battle form or whatever. We knock Torian unconscious and he won't be able to recover until the battle ends. Punches, kicks, healing spells, summons, potions. Our group unleashes their entire arsenal. In the heat of battle, I make the first tactical decision in the entire game. I use the potion of speed on the dog. The dog eats the wizard.
Oh, good show, old boy. That's showing them who's in charge.
Go get him, boy.
As we are about to win, Kurgan surrounds himself with a shield of invulnerability. The purpose of the Vendigroth nuke is to break spell protections like this one. The Dwarven machine is how we get back to Arcanum.
So it's like a Stargate.
Are you bloody joking? We're going to stop playing this game because you've already won, you damn fool. Go to sleep. Do you have any idea what hour it is? I swear I just don't understand some people.
Goddamn, I just realized I forgot to do Maximilian's quest. Cumbria remained under the incompetent leadership of King Praetor. After his death, Dernholm crumbled into obscurity, and the kingdom was swallowed by the UK. When the mayor of Blackroot told us they're gonna rejoin Cumbria, he wasn't lying. They did, and that sealed the fate of the town. Blackroot suffered under the inept leadership of Praetor, and eventually disappeared altogether. Loghaire of the Wheel clan never returned to his people.
Isn't he dead?
Because we killed him. There was another civil war. Eventually, the dwarves sealed themselves forever from the outside world. Bad endings to all of these so far. After their revolution and the subsequent nationalization of the A&M chocolate factory, the former owner lost all his money and died in poverty. The Russian postcards look like RPG concept art, although the vertical nature of these images would make them work better in a first-person game. Upon returning to Arcanum, Aronnax buried his father on the Isle of Thanatos. He traveled to Vandigroth Wastes and there used his powers to raise the city from the ruins. Vandigroth again became a technological Disneyland. A great ending, but in...
Wait, who is populating the city? Who's gonna live in there?
Our story, it was Aronnax who died and Nasruddin who lived. I don't know, maybe he crawled to the portal or something. In any case, good for him. That was quite an adventure, wasn't it? I hope you enjoyed it. Arcanum. When I was a kid, I used to pronounce it Arcanum. I don't know why. Anyway, that's it. Yeah, I accidentally committed to a long video again. If you like to see more stories like this one, please support the channel on Patreon. What declined gaming genre would you like to see have an upcoming modern revival, aka the next boomer shooter renaissance? That's an easy one. MMOs like Ultima Online and EVE Online. The sandbox MMO is pretty much the only millennial genre that is yet to come back. How do you spell your YouTube name? It's become a heated debate between some friends. You probably don't mean Warlockracy. My real name is Nikolai Kazimirko Kirillov Yuryevich. Say
Oh, okay, Nikolai. Yeah, I just say Warlockracy. That's it. You know, Warlockracy.
This backwards to open a portal to the underworld. If you weren't covering games, what topic would you focus on with your channel? Probably political theory and something activism related. I'm a millennial, and millennials are fucking old people now, so I have around 16, 18 years of experience doing various kinds of activism, both on the street and in online spaces. Do you...
Wow. Hey, this is quite impressive. I never knew I was dealing with someone who was so experienced in life. Ah, okay.
Have any favorite national cuisines? I'm one of these people who calculate everything they eat and build models in an app. So my favorite national cuisine is whatever the nation invented mixing cottage cheese and whey. These animated scenes you've seen in the video are from the 1997 adventure game The Last Express.
Vasily Alexandrovich, how many thousands have you condemned to prison and torture in the name of your piety? Или вы счет потеряли?
Well, I think you made a pretty good first impression.
Friends, make sure you click on the link in the pinned comment below the video. I'm doing a little fundraising on the behalf of a neurodivergent individual stuck in the war zone. If you can help with that, that would be sweet. Anyways, be happy, enjoy the holidays, get sex mad.
This damn train. Okay, guys, that's it with Warlockracy's Arcanum. A request from Lol Meki. Yes, hopefully I'm pronouncing your YouTube name correctly. Yeah, it was great to see Nikolai again with his content, his game review content. And this game, yeah, it is expansive. It's big in terms of the storyline and the sub-quests as well. You know, conjoined into the game as well. So there's a lot to go through. There's a lot to go through, and you might actually get lost with the storyline. I think I have gotten lost in the storyline a couple of times. So yeah, I think I'll have to watch this video again in my own personal time just to fully understand. But yeah, the game, in terms of the different character races that are existing in this world, I find that very interesting, you know. And in terms of the continent of Arcanum, how it's structured in terms of the two kingdoms that are still existing, the United Kingdom and the Kingdom of Cumbria, as well as the Dwarven kingdoms as well. That's all very interesting, addition to this game, and how you as the character player have to navigate through all of these political situations and try to accomplish in finishing this game with as much assistance as possible, creating an entire army. It's not just 3 people in your company, it's not just 4 people in your company, it's like 10. I think that was around 10 people coming with you, going through missions, finishing the missions, and heading all the way to the end of the game. Yes, there'll be those who betray you along the way, there'll be those who are spies along the way, but it's worth the journey, I would say, with all those people, because really that's just unique. Like, if I think about games like Dragon Age, yes, you have a lot of companions, right? But you can only choose max, I think, 3 or 4 people who will be joining you, and then everybody else has to stay at a camp. But it seems like in this game, everybody is with you. all of your companions come with you on this mission, and yeah, that's something different. That's something really entertaining to see. And really, in terms of the civilization and how magic and technology somehow coexists in this world, it's really amazing. Truly, it's amazing. Because from other fantasy games that I've played, it's either technology has supremacy and that's it, or it's magic has supremacy and that's it. There isn't really that type of balance between, there'll be magic here and there'll be technology here, and it will coexist in some sort of fashion, like in Arcanum. Really, this is different. This is really, really different. And I think there should be more fantasy games that focus on something like this, where, yes, there is technology, people have power armor suits, people have, rifles and other forms of weaponry systems, but then there's also people with magic. And they can somehow become a techno wizard, a librarian of Warhammer 40k, if I can say that. So yeah, really, that's something unique as well. Like I said before, with the game storylines, I did get lost here and there. So I'll have to just, read up on the game, or just, watch this video again by Warlockracy, just to have a better understanding about what's going on. Because there was a point in time where I thought Margos was still alive, because I keep hearing his voice, I keep hearing him saying something, so I was assuming in my mind that this guy's still alive, but no. Warlockracy killed him a long time ago. And I didn't even realize that he died a long time ago. I thought he was with him, so yeah, there are some points where I did probably not fully understand, so I'll have to just recheck with the video. And the fact that you, as a wizard, you could resurrect people in their ghost form and interrogate them, that is just, that's unbelievable. That's really just unbelievable. And funny. The way Warlockracy the way he gives these people, the NPCs, a chance to explain or, to adhere to the request of Nathan Cole, but they refuse. They are stubborn that way. And then he just kills them and resurrects their spirit, and then the spirit is forced to, cooperate with Nathan Cole. It's just so funny. Really, it's just very funny. And I hope that the United Kingdom will disintegrate, because it's not led by the king and queen anymore. It's not led by a royal family. It's led by large corporations that are exploiting human beings and other races for their own benefit. And that was just an evil, situation that was happening in that kingdom. Evil. Really, it was just deplorable. And I just hope that, through the actions of Nathan Cole and, the workers that were, having their protest, which then, devolved into more of an anarchist type of situation. Yes, I hope this continues until this kingdom is utterly changed, politically, economically, socially. They need a revolution. They need a revolution, I think. You can't just have one city. What's the capital city's name again? Did I write it down here? Tavented? Yeah. You can't have the capital city being this gleaming light of development and advancement, and having some other towns as well. Some other towns as well being these poster cards of the achievements of the United Kingdom, when in actual fact there is some terrible things happening, that allowed for this city and other smaller towns to be as rich as they are, through the blood and sacrifice of so many people. Now, I can't even say it's a sacrifice, but through the blood and the killing of so many people. Yeah. So I hope that the anarchy that's happening in the United Kingdom continues until this kingdom reforms. I think that's the only answer I can give. Yeah. Because those gnomes, really, no. What they've done is just horrible. But yeah, in terms of the relations between all the different races and how they view each other, and how they view each other, in terms of living in this continent of Arcanum, is also quite interesting. And how the elves are living for so long that the dwarves also live for around 600 years, and humans, tops 100, and then we die. Yeah, that was also quite interesting how all of those factors are also incorporated into the game's political dimensions, between the different kingdoms and the rulers and the people, the subjects as well. So yeah, it was all very interesting. And yeah, it's such a shame that Arcanum hasn't had the investment in it like, for instance, Fallout. Fallout is continuing. It's evolved. It's become different over the years, but people are still playing the older games as well. So yeah, I think Arcanum also has that potential. Really, the universe of Arcanum does seem very, enjoyable and interesting to play in. I can just imagine an Arcanum, Fallout, Bethesda type of game. It would be amazing. I think it would be amazing. With our current level of gaming technology, I think we could make some amazing games with Arcanum, as the main centerpiece universe. Yeah. Okay. That's it, guys. Thank you again to lol Meki. Meki for requesting that I should react to this video. It's been fun listening to Warlockracy once more, aka Nikolai. And yeah, guys, remember, if you want to check out the original video as well as Warlockracy's YouTube channel, the links are going to be in the description below. If you like my reaction, please give me a like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. Click on the notification bell if you want to be up to date with my latest videos, and I'll see you guys next time. Okay? Bye-bye.